Hey everyone, I'm Matt, and welcome to the Good Trouble Show. Wikipedia is the 7th most trafficked website globally with 7.5 billion monthly views. The public trusts Wikipedia to provide unbiased information no matter what the subject, including UFOs. Researcher Rob Heatherly has uncovered an organized effort on Wikipedia to debunk UFOs, and he has a lot of evidence to share with us today, along with a statement provided to us by Pentagon whistleblower Lue Elizondo. But first, please hit the subscribe and thumbs up button on YouTube. You can also find us on Twitter at Good Trouble Show and on all other platforms at The Good Trouble Show. Leave a comment, share, like, give thumbs up, all that good stuff. And all of those things encourage these platforms to spread the word about our show to the masses. You can also find us on your favorite podcasting platforms. Just search for The Good Trouble Show. Subscribe and leave a review. Hopefully it'll be a good one. We also need your help keeping the lights on. You can become a supporter of The Good Trouble Show by going to www.patreon.com/The Good Trouble Show. And for the price of a Starbucks coffee, you can support our work. Finally, on YouTube, Super Chats are open and are a great way to show your appreciation, thanking us with your financial support. Also want to thank our supporters on Patreon and YouTube, the ones that pay for the subscription or whatever you want to call it. It's hard to keep track of all of it. Anyway, our next guest is no stranger to the UFO field, having interviewed some of the most important figures on the topic. His latest research uncovered an extensive, highly organized network of debunker Wikipedia editors who are dedicated to rewriting Wikipedia pages related to anything debunkers consider pseudoscience, and that includes UFOs. The Wikipedia pages of whistleblowers, academics, scientists, and journalists have been targets of this group, the Guerilla Skeptics.
Because these are private groups or secret groups, you can't join them. I have to allow you, and I have admins that will allow you to join the group. But we check you out because we don't want to allow, somebody in who's, infiltration.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So that's where we spend a lot of our time. But we've worked on pages on UFOs and spontaneous human combustion and all kinds of different topics that are pseudoscience or misinformation.
Wikipedia is the single most important tool in the skeptical toolbox that we have. But we keep track of all the Wikipedia pages that we have made a massive a rewrite to or have written. And we are now at 1,230 pages, and we keep track of how many page views those 1,230 pages have, and we're at 51 million page views, over 51 million page views. Homeopathy, we've changed that page drastically. The lead, the very, very first couple sentences of the page, which most people is the only thing they read, we've used the word quackery. I mean, that's so awesome.
I am so proud of these people and the other 100. I have 113 people, and I'm always looking to recruit and require more.
How in the world do people still support this woman? We even have on here her conviction, her legal conviction. Here, if you click on...
For a gold investment scheme.
Yeah, we have it so you can actually go and see where she's a convicted felon. So when people say she's a convicted felon, we're like, go to Wikipedia. There it is.
In the last week, those 500 pages have created, in the last week, 215,742 page views. In the last month, 1,563,493 page views. And in the whole time that these page views have existed, these pages we've written, the GSOW project has written those 500 pages, and those page views are now at 19,063,934 page views. So if you want to be part of the solution...
Wow, that's all I can say. All right, joining us today is Mr. Rob Heatherly. Let's see here. Rob, how are you today?
Doing fine. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So you and I have been speaking for quite some time about this, and I what you've provided in terms of the stuff that I've seen just absolutely floored me. We've always, I think most people that track this subject have recognized that there is a clear coordination amongst the debunker community. You've seen this, for instance, right before when David Grusch came out, and right before the hearing, all that sort of stuff. Just magically, articles show up. All of this stuff that indicates a clear coordination between these debunkers. And you even, what I've noticed as well, you also see this on Twitter, where if you will go and look at some of the brand new people that are debunking a lot of what's going on. For instance, if you look at Mark von Rennenkamp's feed, you will see some people on there that if you go, that are clear debunkers, if you go and you look on their timeline, their Twitter timeline, it's literally only a year old. It's all about UFOs. I always knew there was some kind of clear concerted effort to try and drive the narrative, but what you've uncovered is, frankly, it's damning, it's obscene, and it should upset everyone. And the people that are targeted in all of this by manipulating their Wikipedia pages, removing accolades, things like that, if I were them, I would be talking to their legal counsel, because I'm no lawyer, but this sure seems like a cut and dry case for libel, and it's absolutely just not acceptable. So the first thing I want to bring up is that we are not going to link these Wikipedia editor accounts to specific debunkers. Obviously, we don't want to say the wrong thing and get into legal problems, and also too, we don't want to label a possible debunker as person X when it turns out they may not be. We'll leave that to whoever, legal counsel, whatever, is going to end up pursuing this. So just want to be very transparent about that. But what we are going to do is demonstrate with your evidence, Rob, the extent of what is going on, and it is substantial. I mean, absolutely substantial. And also, too, the reason we're doing this, and just talking to our audience here, we put this show together very, very quickly. So there was a lot of evidence we weren't able to sort of call through. We'll try to be as speedy as we can. The show is going to be a little bit longer than what we normally do, because we want to illustrate just the sheer number, and this is really only going to be scratching the surface, the sheer number of Wikipedia pages that have been targeted by that group. And what we're hoping to do here is encourage everyone from a crowdsourcing point of view. We're going to show you the tools on how you go and you look this stuff up, and we need your help, and that's why we put this together so quickly. So apologies if this is a little rough around the edges, and yeah. So we're gonna so just kind of going through here. We're gonna present a bunch of cases towards the end. Really, what I think is the most clear, I would say, illustration of what these folks have been up to is Lue Elizondo's page, and we've been in touch with Lue. He has provided us with a written statement, and yeah, hey man, it looks like I don't know, there's something on fire there in front of your camera. don't we have a show to do? Don't burn the house down. Whatever you do there.
Yeah, gotta keep it warm in here.
What's that?
Gotta keep it warm in here.
Gotta keep it warm. That's right. Excuse me. And sorry, I had RSV over the holidays and ended up with walking pneumonia, and it's just wasn't a whole lot of fun. So I'll try my best to mute mute everything here when I'm if I cough. So first thing I want to do is just kind of give everybody, actually I'm going to quit this. I'm going to share my desktop here, and this is how I'm going to show everyone sort of what the evidence here that you have. And let's see. So starting off here. So this is the 5013C, the nonprofit that is in California called About Time. That is the name of the nonprofit. And what we're really interested in here is what is called the Guerilla Skeptics. And this is the group, the organized group that the lady that runs this 5013C, Susan Gerbic, I think is how you pronounce her name. This is the group that gathers and trains these Wikipedia editors. And it's not just UFOs, you know, they're also interested in anything that they consider pseudoscience. And that one of the things that I was really surprised about, you've heard some of these debunkers give us a bunch of shit about our UFO conventions. I had no idea this whole skeptics movement, or whatever you want to call it, it is substantial. I mean, they, as I think you saw in probably one of these clips, this is a major thing that they have. These conventions, they have conventions, they have local meetings in every city. The network is substantial, and network is the right term for this. So anyway, here, just looking at CSICon. CSICon is the most, I guess, sort of the largest convention that they have. And I just want to show you some of the speakers. So here, of course, we have Bill Nye, the science guy. That's kind of no surprise. And the thing I want to point out is some of the folks that I'm going to illustrate here go on the news or news outlets to talk about the UAP topic, and they're doing it from a supposedly neutral point of view, but it turns out they're not so neutral. These folks, they're all debunkers. And there is a difference, I want to point out, between debunkers and skeptics. There's nothing wrong with being skeptical about all of this. Everyone should look into this. But debunkers, as Dr. Michael Masters said on our show yesterday, you know, they come at this with a preconceived agenda. So anyway, scrolling through here, you know, we have Bill Nye, Penn and Teller, who I love. Some of these folks I have no idea. Mick West, he's a speaker at CSICon. That's no surprise there. And yeah, so I just wanted to illustrate that. Now, what is interesting is this main umbrella organization is called the Center for, let me see here, what is it? Center for Inquiry. And what I want to point, go ahead.
Skeptical Inquiry.
Ah,
And
there
these
you
are
go.
all members that were inducted. They've got certificates and awards. And
Okay, so right.
It's an
And
organized group.
And I want to scroll just to give everyone an idea. This is the, I guess what they call their CSI fellows. It's kind of a leadership thing. But I want to scroll through some of these names, and I'll try and zoom in here. A lot of these, I have no idea who these folks are. But again, these are all people that are active in this very large organization. And we're going to talk about how large in just a second. Let's see, don't know anything. Okay, so there's Susan Gerbic, founder and leader of the Guerilla Skepticism on Wikipedia, GSOW project. That's no surprise there. Scrolling through, don't know any of these folks because I'm not a debunker. Let's see, scrolling. This is quite a list. Bill Nye, the science guy. I guess he is a debunker as well. Let's see, who else? Don't know this person, don't know this person. Seth Shostak, a senior astronomer, SETI Institute. This guy obviously comes on quite a bit to throw doubt on the UAP topic. He's a fellow of this organization. Scrolling up here. All right, here we go. This, I think, is the most incredible. Neil deGrasse Tyson. So here this guy, I don't know, I think he's probably more of a media personality. probably didn't know is the first thing about science. But here this guy is, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who tries to pass himself off as a as a neutral person about the UAP topic, and but I'm just asking questions. Why is it we don't see sharp images of UAPs? There you go. This guy is active in this organization, so that tells you all you need to know about how the bias of Neil deGrasse Tyson and how you really got to take what he says with a grain of salt. Then of course Mick West. That's no surprise. He's one of them, a member of the fellows there. So the Center for Inquiry, I want to point out, this is another nonprofit. It has $5.57 million of revenue. $5.57 million. Let that sink in. They have expenses of $5.92 million. Total assets, $7.92 million. This gives you an idea of the money that is behind all of this. It is significant. These aren't a bunch of hobbyists. These aren't a bunch of amateurs. You have to wonder who, what three-letter agencies are also funding this or funding these efforts. It's insane. And I want to point out again, this is Center for Inquiry. This isn't the About Time 501(c) here in California. Apparently, they have receipts under $50,000, which means that they don't have to itemize this out. Okay, so let's get right to it. So going ahead, if you don't mind, please, Rob, just sort of walk us through in a general sense before we really dig into the meat here. Walk us through how you found this, how long you've been working on this, and just a general overview in a few minutes or less on what this whole operation is.
Well, I was asked to come into the UFO investigation field on UFO Twitter a few years ago. I came into it from alternative ancient history, where I was excelling with helping find factual, credible research with some very high-profile people and groups, and earned a reputation there as being proficient at it and knowledgeable, accurate, and fair balance with it. So when I got invited into the UFO topic to see if I could help figure out what's going on with that, and if there's any evidence that we could find, that's not secondary but primary. I came into it about 3 years ago, and I've been following it very closely and working with a lot of people. And when David Grusch went public this summer, there was a lot of new people infused into the UFO Twitter arena. And I noticed that there was a repetition of the negative talking points with a lot of new people that had never been there before. And I recognized that they have to be getting their cliff notes somewhere to be speaking with that much magnitude and repetition. So, I followed Wikipedia when I was doing queries on David Grusch online, and was following the Wikipedia page from its inception on him when it came up, and it was highly dynamic and it kept changing. But what I noticed, there's some pretty negative edits, like including in psychiatric issue, and that was made prominent. And I went to the talk page, and there were people trying to put in well-sourced, reliable news outlets to cite any positive attributes of him. And I noticed that they kept getting pulled back out. So I started following the edits. And that's what drew me down this trail, is that I found that there was a group of about 6 to 8 dedicated editors, some of them with admin privileges, that were controlling literally this page. And then I started looking at other people's pages like Louie's, Ross Coldheart's, and it just kept snowballing from there, that they have control of these pages. And the way they get control is by majority rules on every page. They call it a democracy, but it's not, because if an unsuspecting editor comes in, like what's happened in the last few days with less publicity, try to make a good faith edit with a well-sourced article or something, it gets pulled out. They'll put it right back in, and 3 times, then they get nailed for edit warning, and they get banned from at least the page, or they'll check them for sock puppets and eliminate them from Wikipedia completely. So I noticed the bias, and it was glaringly obvious, and I just kept following the threads because they were not allowing fair and balanced, accurate, well-sourced information from credible news outlets to be placed into the page so people could decide for themselves and have an accurate depiction of what both sides of the argument are. They are not allowing people to have that privilege to make the decision for themselves. They don't think that they're smart enough. They're prejudiced believers, and when they have a well-sourced document, then they consider, if they are pro UFO or anything that hints at supporting them, then they label them as a fringe organization or a fringe reporter, and thereafter they're not credible sources, and they don't allow them in Wikipedia for policy, and they help write the policies that they ban people with. It's just,
wow,
it's obscene.
It is obscene. And, as I pointed out, Wikipedia is, when I look today, the 7th most trafficked website in the world, period. And, I love Wikipedia. I go there all the time looking for stuff. So one thing that we've spoken about quite a bit on our show is the need to talk about the phenomenon, the political issues and national security issues related to this with people that do not track this topic, and it's really important. So folks that are curious about UFOs or anything, they target, we'll go through some of it here in a bit, but, they target anything paranormal, again, academics, scientists.
Religion.
Say that again?
Religion.
Yeah, religion. It's the arrogance of these folks is just, I was just visibly shaken and mad past probably 24 hours at all of this stuff that you were showing me. And I'm just going to read just a fraction because the voluminous amount of what they are either rewriting the page. A lot of times they will start the page. For instance, they saw Dave Grusch came online, started, well, actually, Lue Elizondo, they started his page. So all these folks, these Wikipedia editors that are out of this group, they start the pages so that they can manage it, or they continually overhaul it so they can dictate the narrative. But I just want to read some of the ones that we're going to talk about tonight, and this is scratching the surface. These are the ones that the Guerilla Skeptics group have manipulated. I'll just say that. A-Tip. These are all pages on Wikipedia. A-Tip, OSAP, Skinwalker Ranch, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, Ross Coulthart, George Knapp, Pentagon UFO Videos, David Grusch, Harold E. Putoff, Linda Moulton Howe, Bob Lazar, Lue Elizondo, Gary Nolan, Leslie Keene. Let's see here, Ralph Blumenthal. The other thing, this group of skeptics, this debunkers, part of this Guerilla Skeptics thing, they not only are they writing on UFO topics, they are also writing the pages of their fellow debunkers. For instance, Mick West's page was written by a member who goes by the screen name RP2000, RP2006. So he's part of this Guerilla Skeptics Wikipedia editor group. So they will go through and take pages of their own group or whatever, and they will make it look impeccable. If you go and you look at right now, folks, if you go right now and you go on Wikipedia, go and read David Grusch's page, and then immediately go and look at Mick West's page. The difference in tone and everything about it is they are so diametrically opposed because they were edited that way. It just makes my blood boil. So I just want to give you an idea. I'm going to, before we dig into the actual cases, I want to show you an example of the amount of sort of subjects that they cover. So I'm going to try and zoom this in here, and we'll show you how to do this a little bit later. But this is Susan Gerbic. This is her user page on Wikipedia, and these are her the top edits. So, a lot of them, I have no idea who these folks are, but Brian Dunning, he's a skeptic, Skeptics Toolbox, and Z Skeptics, Skeptical Inquirer, that's the magazine. Let's see, Psychic Detective, COVID-19 Party. They cover a bunch of different things. Let's see here, Lue Elizondo, she actually created Lue Elizondo's page, and we're going to talk about that here a little bit later. The list just goes on and on. Homeopathy, which she bragged in one of her videos that she managed to get the word quackery put on the homeopathy page. That was a real badge of honor for her. Skeptic Camp, ghost hunting. It's insane. The amount of pages that they are rewriting, the list, just chupacabra. It goes on and on and on. I want to point out here, so Lucky Louie, who is probably, I would say, the most prolific Wikipedia editor that you've discovered, Rob. These are his top edits. Now he's also into amateur radio, which I was kind of surprised. Ghost hunting. Let's see, more audio stuff. Pentagon UFO videos. He's very active on that. Let's see, what else? Shadow Person, Infield Poltergeist, Radio Personality, Bigfoot. Unidentified flying object, Bob Lazar's page, writes on that. Travis Walton incident, Ouija, David Grusch, UFO whistleblower claims. We're going to get into his page and what they've done to damage that. Let's see here, Majestic 12. I'm just pointing out all the different things related to the topic of interest here. Linda Moulton Howe. Let's see, MK Ultra, Men in Black, Conspiracy Theory, UFO Conspiracy Theories. What else do we have here? Kexborg UFO Incident, Poltergeist, Ghosts in Bengal Culture. Stephen Greer's edited his page. I'm not a Stephen Greer fan, but he's worked on that. Phoenix Lights, Nordic Aliens, USS Nimitz UFO incident, another UFO incident, Haunted House, West Hall UFO, Cryptozoology, Telekinesis. It's, got a little virus scan going on here. We're going to stop that. Coast to Coast AM. I didn't even look in that, so he's clearly done a lot of work there, I'm guessing. UFO sightings in outer space, Psychotronics, Close Encounters, Virginia UFO incident. Sometimes I say vagina by accident. That's neither here nor there. It just goes on and on and on. The amount of pages, and you have to think. So if we scroll back here, I'm looking at Lucky Louie. Just the sheer amount of pages these guys are editing is just insane. We look here, there's RP 2006, can't really see it right now. JoJo Anthrax is another one. What are some of the others that are part of this secret cabal of Wikipedia debunkers that are manipulating the platform? Who are some of the other users that we should look for?
Well, I started out, just until the last couple of 3 weeks, I didn't realize how entrenched the guerrilla skeptics of Wikipedia were. But thanks to Lucky Louie going so hardcore against all these people and being so prolific. And like you said, the contrast between David Grusch's page and Mick West's page, Lucky Louie and RP 2006 was banned from being able to edit living persons pages in 2022 for being too unfair and biased towards them. But RP 2006 and Lucky Louie built Mick West's page. They're also ramrodding David Grusch's page and all the others you mentioned, but they have blocked editors and cited that they puffery and can't use that and sensationalism and everything. on those pages as means to get pages protected and ban other editors. But the duplicity, like on Mick West's page, it's a glowing, it's like a shrine of information that they've included in there. And there have been editors that have tried to put in a little bit of criticism, and they keep pulling it back out. That they are being hypocritical and not even following their own rules. And I found that they have a big hand in helping write the rules and citing them. So they're literally creating some of these rules, enhancing them, and using them as reasons to eliminate anybody any editors that aren't with their agenda. They turn it into a game of Risk, where they are eliminating the poor unsuspecting editors and topic banning them, even physicists and professionals from their own expertise topics.
Unbelievable. So, yeah, it's just insane. So what I'm going to put up on the screen next, I want to give our viewers the tools that they can go and look this stuff up. Wikipedia, when you start to sort of navigate below the hood, it can be a little bit daunting. So these are tools that folks at home, you can play along and look stuff up. So I'm going to put this up here. So this website, this Wikipedia tool is, let's see here, it's xwww.xtTPS://xtools.wmcloud.org / article info. Now, how you use this is how you look up the page history. So let's go and look up Lue Elizondo. And we'll dig into his page a little bit later. So you'll notice when you start to fill this in, it auto fills in. So it's not going to let you bring something up. So you click on Lue Elizondo, you click submit. Now what it's going to show you, all of the metrics for this. So excuse me. So for instance, it's got page ID, all of this. But then what's interesting is it has all of the history of the edits, who started it. The metrics here are substantial, and you just have to dig through it to see. So this is one particular thing. So you can actually, here's another good thing. So general statistics, I think we just looked at. The top editors, excuse me. So actually, it's not coming up here. I'll show it here in a second. But this is one particular tool, and I'm sort of still trying to navigate this whole thing as well. There's another one. Let's see. Is this the same one, Lou?
You had wanted me to name some of the most active editors in this that it started tracking. I can do that real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
It seems that there's obviously Lucky Louie. There's a guy that it looks like 3 cherries for his username. It's some kind of a script, but he also signs it with, I think, JPS, and I think they have admin privileges like JoJo Anthrax. So when they need muscle, they call it, which is also against wiki policies, but they do that repeatedly. S. Gerbic, which is Susan Gerbic, and JJ Hakes. He at least tries to help put in some balanced information in articles and tone them down to where they look a little bit more, to where they can present a little more balance for people. But he keeps getting overrode with people and with citing that this topic is too sensational and pseudoscience and bunk, and that Wikipedia policy means that they can't give a fair assessment to those topics because they're fringe and they need to be extinguished at any cost. So they're going all in to find as many negative articles and commentaries as possible, like on David Grusch's page. They've got pictures of debunkers, Sean Kirkpatrick and all that. They're giving more information about the people contesting David Grusch than on David Grusch. And they do this, on thousands of pages. I went down the list of, like you said, a couple dozen primary, anyone that's gaining prominence in the field of ufology, scientists, academics like Gary Nolan, physicists and such. These aren't laymen. And anyone that's gaining traction, they have to counterbalance. They come out with articles that they write, they come out with YouTube videos, they have Debunk, they use Twitter, Facebook, and they've even taken it global in 52 languages. And they have people now that they're training in different languages so they can take this topic global. So they have an agenda. I mean, it's literally like a game of Risk they're doing. And when I figured that out recently, it just really floored me. And then I stumbled into the Guerilla Skeptics and started looking at admin reviews and saw how contentious they've been multiple times and warned, but it always came down to, well, they're so prolific here and maybe it's more detrimental to Wiki if we did ban them. So we're just going to tell them to tone it down and let them ride, which encouraged them. And then their ranks grew from there. And when you cited 55 million, they're now at over 100 million page views on the pages they protect and that they dominate and control. They literally control them because it's majority rule. And once you get it elevated protection, only dedicated editors can edit from there on. And anyone that tries, they can pull it out. And like I said, they get them blocked from the page or the topic or completely off Wikipedia if they're able. I see editors in good faith getting blocked daily. Every time I go into research, I find new editors that got removed from Wikipedia. And that is it's not even conscionable. They're eliminating the competition.
It truly is. And again, the people that are being targeted by this, I hope they reach out to their legal counsel. This cannot stand. So let's start digging into some pages. So first one I want to dig into is the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. So this is a sort of data that you can look up. This is the sort of page summary I was trying to get at earlier. But what's interesting here, you can look who was the first edit. Judas Fax, maximum text deleted. Lucky Louie's deleted over 4,168 characters. Judas Fax Just Fax added that amount. Average time between edits 5 days. Now, this is where it gets interesting. When you start looking at the top editors. So this is the top editors for this particular Wikipedia site. So Just a Fax, Lucky Louie, 4.3%, and top 10 top 10 Just a Fax. But then what you can do is you can, and this, everybody at home, you can do this. It's xtools.wmcloud.org/article-info/en.wikipedia.org. And that should take you there. Hopefully got that right. But this shows, in terms of rank, the amount of edits somebody has done on the Wikipedia page. So that's Just a Fax. Let's see, Lucky Louie. So there's the amount of edits Lucky Louie has done. But you can scroll through this, JoJo Anthrax. You can go through this and look at how much or who exactly is editing the Wikipedia page. So the next thing you can do is, okay, so we know Lucky Louie is one of the main culprits. You can go and you can click on top edits. When you do that, it brings up further metrics. And then here, what it does is it displays the actual Wikipedia edits. And a positive number means they've added characters to it. Negative means that they've removed it. Oftentimes, they'll put a reason. Go on ahead, Rob.
Whenever they make a edit, they're supposed to give a quick cliff note of what they did, and that's what you're seeing there listed. But when you go in and click on the link, the hyperlinks to Lue with difference or history, it will let you see the actual edits that they did. And when you go to any page and you can also click on the 3 radio buttons to the right and click on the question mark about page, go all the way down to the bottom, and it'll say something about Wikipedia. Basically the bottom level shows you all the editors that contributed to that page. And if you go to the third from the bottom, you can put in a specific editor's name and it'll tell you all the edits he did. And you can click on every hyperlink and read every change they ever did. And another way they can hide it when they don't want people to see how critical they are with their talk pages and such, they will have it archived. So you have to scroll down through the edits on each page until, if their talk page looks kind of devoid and there's only like 3 or 4 months on there of history, and the page has been around a long time, especially contentious ones, you need to scroll down through the edits and you'll see where they archive page after page. Because like on the Pentagon UFO videos, I think there's 9 pages of archived talk pages. One page of that they control has about 19. David Grusch's page has 9 archived talk pages. And if you don't know to look for them, you never know all these conversations took place. And that's where I found the most shocking and appalling information, was in the archived talk pages that they removed so people couldn't readily find them. And I've been archiving the comments in there for months now, and they're pretty horrific. And when you match them up with known talking points of people off that platform, on Twitter, YouTube, and Debunk and things like that, it's like an echo chamber. They have the same talking points and the same agendas. And when I finally found the Skeptics, Skeptical Inquiry with Guerilla editors and Gorbach about 3 weeks ago, I realized that the group I've been pursuing are a subset of the larger group. And I found information where Lucky Louie is actively talking to Susan Gerbic to make sure that they don't encroach on each other's pages they control and have an accidental editing war or something. So they coordinate their efforts. So I realized that they were a subset of the Guerilla Skeptics, even if they're not acknowledging that they are. By virtue of what they do, is dictates of who they are and what they are and what their goals are. So, and it completely is in lockstep with the Guerilla Skeptics and Skeptical Inquiry, the articles they write offsite. So,
I understand that you discovered that Mick West, for the first time, archived his entire talk page or something like that.
Yeah, in early November, a new editor came in on Wikipedia and had concerns that Lucky Louie was Mick West, and tried to present to the admin board by following the rules. And instead of getting a neutral admin, it looks like that they pulled JoJo Anthrax, who came in, who's part of this group with Lucky Louie and all them that control these pages. And then they banned that editor from editing anything on Wikipedia except their own talk page. And so, in good faith, I've seen time after time editors come in and try to raise attention to this, and then they get systematically eliminated from the platform, penalized, censored, timed out. There is no fair play, and they are not abiding by their own rules that they make up. And good faith, especially for living persons.
So what I want to show here, so I want to go back and demonstrate. So, excuse me. So we're back on Lucky Louie's edits on the ATIP page. So if you want to look at the edit and you want to see what they changed, you click on this diff link. And what it's going to do, it's going to bring up the page. Now, all of this is in wiki code, but the way you look at it, so it makes sense, you go over here and you click this visual button. It recompiles the page, and then it shows exactly what was changed. So, for instance, Lucky Louie, these are everything in red. These are all things he deleted from the page. If it's in green, it shows what was added to the page. So if I go here to that particular one, again, click on visual, excuse me, you'll see, it's probably not a good one here, but this section in green was added. We'll do another one here that probably has a little bit more to show. Yeah, okay, so here's the sort of thing, that we're looking at. So Lucky Louie deleted. Elizondo has stated that the only thing that has ended in 2012 was the efforts, government funding, but that the program continued after his resignation with support from Navy and CIA officials. So instead, what he added was Benjamin Radford wrote in Skeptical Inquirer that among, and so the non-highlighted text is what was already there, and then what is in green was inserted as part of this edit. So according to Radford, already some researchers, including Robert Schieffer and Mick West, have suggested that distant jets might be the culprit. Radford points out a 2010 accident, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, so that is how you go and you view it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to open up some edits that I pulled up, excuse me, on ATIP, just so that you can kind of get an idea. So I just kind of bookmarked these things. So here again, Lucky Louie removes and exempt from FOIA reporting requirements from the ATIP program. So that was the edit there. I mean, that seems like really good information that you would want. Let's see, another one here. Actually, we just showed that one. Let's see, here's another. Yeah. This was confirmed in June 2020 with the eliminated disclosure, put in acknowledgement. The previously, that's removed, unclassified, but previously secret, they got rid of secret, and he put in unacknowledged instead. Look at another one here. And all of these sort of vary in terms of what I would say, you know, sort of seriousness. Again, we put the show together very quickly, so you know, this is go ahead.
Well, a good example is that somebody tried to edit in that because there's a huge contention in the talk pages of whether Lue worked for ATIP at all, or if it cut off at 2012 or 2017, and if he was the head of it or not. When they tried to include Harry Reid's letter that stated that Lue was the leader of ATIP and such, they cited Harry Reid's controversies in his past, so they labeled him as a not credible source, and they removed it and wouldn't let it to be included in the article. And there's people like Brian Dunning who have had some legal contention as well, but they don't bring that up.
Right.
They cite where it's convenient for them to advance their agenda and their talking points.
Yeah, and we're gonna show some of the talks that you found for this, but look at the sheer volume of deleted text that somebody put another Wikipedia editor tried to insert. He removed reference to a Bloomberg article, Popular Mechanics. It's insane, and this is just on one. Again, here Popular Mechanics removed. But then added in something from Tim McMillan about Bigelow Aerospace. What else? I'm just going to kind of blaze through these because there are so many. We saw that one. So yeah, so those are some of them. Now what I want to show, these are the conversations, the private, sort of private-ish, I mean it's all public record, conversations that this Guerilla Skeptics group has behind the scenes related to this page. So I'm going to zoom this in here. So let's see, this was from Lucky Louie. To explain my reversions of Alan Williams' 101 edits, the issue of whether Elizondo was director of ATIP should not be argued in the lead was attempted. If there are independent, reliable sources give differing perspective, maybe the best solution is to carve out a separate section or paragraph in the article body to present these neutrally and briefly to summarize in the lead.
Yeah. And briefly is italicized. Keep it short. We don't want any more encouragement or positive attributes than absolutely necessary.
Exactly. Okay, here's one from Susan Gerbic, the leader of this group. I think we can all agree on the merits or lack thereof of Tyler Henry, but the critical analysis section feels like overkill. We don't need 14 different bullet points making the same points again and again, especially since half of them seem to come from one person. Yeah, so that's on the ATIP page on its own.
Tyler Henry is a psychic, and that is Susan Gerbic's prized baby is going after, which, you know, mediumships. And I understand that there is a lot of abuse there, and a lot of so-called psychics abuse it and con people. I get that, and that's not what I am pushing back against. It's where there's credible information that psychic abilities and things work, like with Hal Puthoff's research, where he had peer-reviewed papers that acknowledged it. He tried to edit his own page, and they had a book that said that his work was pseudoscience, so they removed his edits with his peer-reviewed papers and banned him from his own page, citing this book that criticized him instead as fringe and pseudoscience, because he was trying to get the pseudoscience label off of his own page, and they weren't having it.
So here's you were talking about going after people's credentials. So here is the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification, the ATIP page. These are edits from JoJo Anthrax, where JoJo has gone through and removed all of the titles of these scientists. So removed PhD, PhD, doctor, PhD, doctor, PhD, removed all of those. So it just shows Richard K., I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I mean, this is clear platform manipulation. If I were these people, I would be pissed and I would be seeking legal remedies. That's just on that one from JoJo Anthrax. Here's more. Let's have a quick look. Here, JoJo removed the paragraph on April 5th, 2022. The FOIA requested by the Sun has been accepted, and 1,500 pages of secret file have been released by the Pentagon. That was removed. So what I want to show now, again, going into some of these private, what they think are private conversations. So here we go here. Let's see. This is what from, zooming out here, I can't quite tell. So this person says, this is another one, I think it got pulled, the name got chopped off. You're right, the article briefly reports what reliable sources have said about it, yet seems to dismiss the ranch entirely, talking about Skinwalker Ranch. Mainstream science, the majority view, has not accepted any evidence to support the existence of UFO-related poltergeists, etc., and favors mundane explanations over unexplainable mysteries, quote-unquote. And since Wikipedia can only mirror the establishment view, the claims of Bigelow, Knapp, and other Fortean book authors and journalists are characterized as the fringe view other than authorities. I think
that was Lucky Louie.
That was Lucky
14 is a Euro UK publication.
Okay, yeah. So I think it continues here. But I agree there are a few minor news reports in the archives, Modesto B, and I'll see if I can find any details to add. That's OSAP. Let's move on to Skinwalker Ranch. I think that's pretty interesting. Again, these are the commentary. Oops, sorry, I'm messing up here. This is from Lucky Louie again. Further digging reveals that Skinwalker Ranch was a creation of George Knapp, parentheses journalist, that was propagated through his own articles and now defunct Las Vegas alternative weekly newspaper and one book. And then he goes on here, and this is all stuff you've discovered, Rob. Entirely sourced to conspiracy websites, blogs, radio talk show hosts, and UFO literature. Article info box asserts this location is active. Lots of internal contradiction and dubious claims, beginning preliminary and reading tagging. Sorry, going back up here. It's just more and more stuff. Here, Lucky Louie continues. The article refers to a place called the National Institute for Discovery Science as doing some kind of research connected to the military-industrial complex. It's beginning to sound like an urban legend to me. Signed, Lucky Louie. Yeah, wow. And then this was I think this is another one you found here. Oh, this was a cut. I'm sorry, a page. Let's see. I think we'll skip over that. Okay, Skinwalker. Now we go on to the secret of Skinwalker Ranch. So again, let's just look at the data. The secret of Skinwalker Ranch. If we go here and we look at the edits, our top editors. There again, Lucky Louie. Wonder who Lucky Louie is. And these are all the different people that have made edits to this page. So let's look at another talk here if you want to talk about that. I think this is from Lucky Louie, where text was added. Robert Bigelow, a Pegasus Award for funding purchase of the property he described as, quote, a haunted ranch in Utah, and then gives gives a citation. It seems to me, Rob, it seems to me that they're trying to color the article.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's how else would you describe it? So when somebody looks at it, they instantly have doubts about what about the subject that they're reading on.
They do it incrementally over time, a lot of the time, and testing the waters. And if no one contests it, they just keep on dialing down anything that gives it credibility, or like the accolades of people's awards or their PhD titles and truly proven academic work. They just systematically keep dialing it down. And if it's described in there, they'll keep editing it down until it's such a mundane and brief statement from entire paragraphs that's how they do it in increments where they don't think that they're going to be noticed and cause a lot of quick controversy. And if they can get away with it, then they just keep going. But they also target entire pages like UFO encounters and things that people had that were well documented. They'll put it up for deletion, and if no one contests it, then they delete it. They have deleted thousands of UFO pages of people's encounters that are well sourced and things. They even went after the Hopkinsville encounter, and luckily they put it in there where alcohol was involved, most likely, and that it was an owl was the most likely explanation, even though the article didn't say that alcohol was, that they suspected alcohol was what caused them to think that. He modified it to make it look like it did, and since no one noticed it to contest it, they let it ride. And they replicate. This is what I kept finding over and over and over again in the months that I've been researching this, and the systematic elimination of other editors, the watering down of their credentials and accolades, and like Ross Coulthart's and awards and George Knapp's, and it's inexhaustive. They control the entire topic of UFOs, non-human intelligences, and several other topics, like COVID-19 lab leak. They banned editors for that said that's completely bunk, even though there's evidence now, credible, that that's a good possibility. And the people that challenged that the shot remedies were, when people tried to say that there was some controversy and potential harm that came from it, they wouldn't allow that either. They got banned for that. Anything that was a government conspiracy, especially, they claim is completely baseless and bunk, and don't allow it.
So speaking of Ross Coulthart, let's look at his page here. Again, looking at the, let's see, sorry about the right thing here. So Ross Coulthart's page, there's significant damage done to that. Average time between edits, 2.1 days. So every 2 days, these folks are going on and editing his page. Who are the editors that are part of these Guerilla Skeptics? Well, we can see here, number 2 editor, Lucky Louie. S. Gerbic, Susan Gerbic, J.J. Hake. Those are all people out of this group that are manipulating his page. So let's dig into these revisions. They are substantial. Let's see here. I'm going to open this up. Should be opening up. Yeah, I mean, it's the whole thing is it is obscene. I mean, it is truly obscene. So we're going to go through quite a few of these. I think it's really important. I know this is a bit of a long-winded show, but we ask everyone to stick through all of this, because at the end of this, if you are not incensed at what is going on, there's just no way that you can't be. Okay, so going on here. So I'm going to click on the visual. There's Ross's page. So they added in, Lucky Louie added in, I think, Colavito criticized Coulthart's work, suggesting Coulthart was exploiting current public interest in UFOs for profit, similar to UFO enthusiasts Leslie Kean and George Knapp, again, using sort of pejorative terms to try and make Ross look like a kook.
They took out all of his awards and they put in where he had a newsroom brawl where they tried to make it look like he started a fight and criminal behavior, aggressive. Yeah, we're trying to break up a fight, but they didn't put that in.
Right, and I think I may have a link to that. So removed the word reliable and instead inserted skewed towards the false, and inserted a morphism that, quote, what was disturbing was not true and what was true was not disturbing. Removed necessary, put in unnecessary. Removed justifiable, put in unjustifiable. Again, this is all Ross Coulthart, a journalist's page. Let's see, I think that was just
his life's work in there, of hard-earned accolades and awards, just like George Knapp's were, eliminated from the page and discredited.
So
these are living people.
Right. So here's an example. This is somebody put in a edit, and Lucky Louie removed it. All right, here's another one. This is a blatant example of Wikipedia, the Guerilla Skeptics, removing accolades to smear a page. So here, career. Lucky Louie removed, Coulthart has won 5 Walkie Journalism Awards, including the Gold Walkley and Logic, I think it's. So here, this is a post on Ross Coulthart's page that speaks to his journalistic credentials, and this group has removed the damn thing.
This is these people's livelihoods.
Here we go again.
They're eroding their ability to generate income and further the scientific topics that they are experts in, not these layman guerrilla skeptic editors. Some are scientists, but if you're not versed in that field, or you're biased to debunk it because you have a narrative that you're sticking to, they are not qualified for most of these pages of academics and scientists and such to determine what is fringe and what's not.
Yeah, agreed. And folks, if any of your friends that are into this topic, we encourage you to let them know about this show. We still have a lot of stuff to cover. Have them tune in. Tell your friends on Reddit. Tell your friends on YouTube, Twitter. It is important that this message gets out, that Wikipedia is being manipulated by this group run by this nonprofit. Okay, so going back to Ross here. The amount of deletion. Coulthart has won 5 prestigious. They removed prestigious, including they removed the most coveted top award for Australian journalism. Ross gets the top journalism award, and they remove it. His reinvestigation revealed new evidence suggesting complicity in the attack. All of this stuff, and then he adds in 2008, he wrote about an Australian medical scandal entitled The Butcher of Bega. He also wrote an expose of cronyism and impropriety in Australian Aboriginal legal services. It goes on and on. So he adds need to know, promoted. Let's see, that was kind of a minor edit here. Here's a more substantial one. So removed Ross Coulthart Australia as an investigative journalist, most recently for Australian News and Current Affairs program for 60 Minutes on Channel 9. He was previously chief investigative reporter for Sunday News. A legitimate entry in Wikipedia. And what does this person put in? He puts in 2014, Coulthart worked as chief investigations reporter for Channel 7 Sunday night news program, but resigned after being involved in a, quote, a newsroom brawl, close quote. Coulthart has worked as an investigative journalist for Australian News and Current Affairs program 60 Minutes and Channel 9, but left in 2018 after his contract was not renewed. Again, a clear-cut effort to make this guy look horrible. Oops, sorry. Go back here. What else we got? Yeah. So again, it's so removed. Coulthart made allegations ASA secretly holds tens of thousands of files on Australian citizens. Again, more stuff removed, more stuff added. All Ross Coulthart. Let's see, that was just, that wasn't anything there. Sorry for some of the extra stuff. Again, removing accolades. His broadcast television investigative journalism has also won the top broadcast award, a Logie. Removed that, this Wikipedia group. If I were Ross, and Ross is an attorney, so he can obviously speak to this better than I can. But man, it sure seems like there are legal repercussions to this, because I think it is quite obvious what's going on. Removed all of this, and then added in Ross Coulthart is an Australian investigative journalist. He is an advocate for the idea that governments are covering up knowledge of UFOs and alien visitations. Again, trying to frame the tone of the Wikipedia article so it's not a very flattering light. I'm not going to read all of this, but it's significant. Here's the last one here, and then we're going to get to get to the talk here of what you discovered. Again, just more stuff that was added. He adds in Jason Colavito, who I would imagine is probably part of this group too. That wouldn't surprise me. He's another skeptic. Well, he's not even a skeptic. He's a debunker. Okay, let's get into the anything you want to add to that before we get into the talk that you discovered.
When I have tweeted about this over the last few months, trying to get crowdsourced involvement, I am not pursuing a particular narrative or bias myself. I want people to have the ability, and I want factual information, where there's both sides of an argument, because in physics, nothing is settled, and they have, competing theories and such. They don't allow that discourse for people to decide from the evidence on both parts of the argument for themselves with credible links for both of them. They don't allow that. They'll remove what they pursue their agendas. Like what Travis Taylor stated the other day, that we shouldn't feed the trolls and it's not that big of a deal and just let them have their fun, whatever. But then when he went and looked at the totality of the evidence of what they've written about him, then he came back and was basically saying, they need to burn in hell, and that he wasn't going to tolerate this. That's the reaction I keep getting when I put together factual packages that I copy verbatim from Wikipedia and like Debunk, Twitter, Skeptical Inquiry, transcripts from YouTube videos. When I put these packages together with links to everything, because I don't leave anything for interpretation, they can decide for themselves. But when I presented this information to specific people, they were infuriated to understand just how awful it was and how widespread, and they thought it was, that it wasn't that much of a viewership. But when they found out that, that they're getting over 100 million views to their pages aggregatively, and they're going, global, they are controlling the narrative. They are systematically gaining ground on many platforms, many topics, like I said, religion, parapsychology, UFO topics, alternative medicine, even gradualism. Like this even spills out into the Graham Hancock and them, even though there's solid evidence that shows that catastrophism is probably more accurate, that we get impacted quite often. They won't even allow things like that to be entered in Wikipedia.
It's truly insane. Let's look at some of the talk on here related to Ross's page. So this is a conversation between Susan Gerbic and Lucky Louie. Oh, you're trying to coax me into another Wikipedia page on UFOs. Lucky, I'm busy with the magic world right now. Don't tempt me. And Lucky Louie replies, yep, you caught me. I'm also busy in real life at the moment. So Wikipedia will just have to get along without us. Here's a, let's see, this is again Lucky Louie.
That shows when his page was created. And I added those in so you could see when his page was created,
Okay.
Gadling, and a few others, right around the same time frame.
Got it. Okay, Head of Swine, that's another one of out of this group, correct?
That's the one. That was the original sock puppet account of Mick West back in 2006 and 7. That he this is my initial salvo in July with him on this. He was bragging in a blog that he was trying to flip a priest and convincing that God didn't exist and turn him atheist. And I went looking for that, and I found it in the talk pages of Mick West's his editor page, and he had accidentally logged in as Herd of Swine, I think. Well, one or the other, but basically he was, he claims it was an honest mistake, and he was embarrassed to edit these topics with his real name because they're so fringe. And so it was an honest mistake that he got caught for sock puppetry, logging in with the wrong username, and then he got banned. And I've seen where the editors state that, well, Herd of Swine wasn't banned. Well, that was a technicality. Whoever banned him forgot to block that account also. And when I put this on Twitter in July, he put out that comment on MickWest.com that it was an honest mistake. And then he asked to have his account reestablished as an editor in July. So he got reinstated, saying that he hasn't edited for, X amount of years. And so here I am in good faith to start again. I've been a good boy, and, let's just move on. I don't think he ever left. I'm fairly certain of it. And
so you're saying Mick West was a Wikipedia editor at one point, and he got banned?
Yeah, it was Herd of Swine was his alternate. It was a sock puppet account, and edited under Mick West both. And interestingly, Lucky Louie, Hob Gadling, and them, which I don't think Hob may not be, but they have the same chronological order of interests that Mick has built his reputation on, and his interests, they coincide with these editors, especially Lucky Louie, on down the line. Even Annabelle, the Haunted Doll, and Hob Gadling, the Hopkinsville Green Goblin encounter, Mick West writes about a lot, is that was the one that terrified him the most as a child, the book he read on it. And when he grew up and realized that religion and ghosts and goblins and all that were bunk that had terrified him as a kid, he was angry, and he feels it's his duty to try and rid the world of all this bunk and stop scaring kids and spreading, stop spreading propaganda that is not true. This isn't science. A lot of these editors are pushing their own biases and neurotic phobias that they want to eliminate. They're trying to nerf the world to conform to where they feel comfortable and safe in it, and eliminate what they don't want in it. A false construct.
It's nothing short of propaganda. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about another journalist, the beloved George Knapp. Hope to have him on my show one day. I freaking love this guy. George Knapp, that's his, here's his Wikipedia page. He does excellent work. Again, looking at this, who have been the top editors. There he is, Lucky Louie. Big surprise there. So let's start digging into a few of the edits that Lucky Louie did on George Knapp's page. Excuse me, a little crouped up here. Let's see. Removed this line. On January 10th, George Knapp, along with Jeremy Corbell, American filmmaker and ufologist, premiered the investigative podcast Weaponized. Why would you remove that? I mean, I don't get it. Again, I'm sure, I hope, I'm a capitalist. I hope that they are making some kind of money on the efforts that they're doing. Nothing in life is free. And here they are, the Guerilla Skeptics group, removing something that gives him credibility and talks about one of his shows, or one of the things he's on. Let's see. He is known for his work. They removed On Anomalous Phenomenon and put in Investigating UFO Reports. Removed another reference, added one. This is all Lucky Louie. Again, here they are. Lucky Louie reframing the narrative in his Wikipedia article here. He removes due in part and then instead says, according to Knapp, so according is added. And he goes on, some of Lazar's claims, removed Knapp's, puts in made his stories were to be taken more seriously.
I found numerous examples where Lucky Lee refers to George Knapp, Corbell, Ross Cole-Hartnam as grifters, and Leslie King and Blumenthal repetitively examples where he's calling them grifters, con artists, hucksters, fraudsters, and on down the line. Just, it's repetitious. They're not one-off comments. This is a systematic defamation campaign for these people and their topics.
Here's another one, again on George Knapp's. Lucky Louie adds in, radio host adds in, noted for promotion of UFO conspiracy theories. Sounds like something Mick West would say.
Yeah, ironic, huh?
Very ironic. Okay, let's see. Oh, I have to log in real quick. So I'm going to take this off the air and put your smiley face in. So after a while, you need to sign up for a Wikipedia account, because after a while, it stops letting you use some of the tools. So,
and it also lets you follow pages. Once you have an account, you can follow it, and any change to that page, like in a talk page, in a subcategory, or any page, you can hit follow, and then you get email notifications and such. Every time there's a change to that topic or that that category, you'll get a notification. So you can keep track of all these in real time, and every time there's an edit and change to a page or talk page or discussion, you'll get notified.
Okay, here we go. Once again, edit by Lucky Louie. And there are others here. I'm focusing on Lucky Louie because it tends to be the most prolific. Excuse me. Removes the sentence, in Las Vegas beginning in the late 1980s, Knapp became one of the first mainstream investigative journalists to report extensively about UFO, UAP, and high strangeness cases. Instead, he removed that and he added in, so it reads, news anchor and talk radio host noted for promotion of UFO conspiracies. Again, removes reference to investigative journalist, removes all of his Emmy nomination stuff, removes his history in Vegas, and instead focuses on coast to coast. And again, there are, there's more on here. Other edits that people have done. We're just focusing on that. So again, let's talk about what you discovered on the talk page. Claims that aren't technologies, again from Lucky Louie, aren't technologies being hidden, or that there was a conspiracy to erase records, are WP fringe. It's a denotation as a fringe topic. So he's denoting it as fringe, and Wikipedia is not neutral when it comes to WP extraordinary fringe claims. We are prohibited from presenting fringe in mainstream news. Lucky Louie.
That was the reasoning for going so hardcore against David Grusch too, because he's the biggest threat with that of all now. He's public enemy #1 for fringe. And we're
going to get to Grusch's page soon.
Yeah.
And again, from Lucky Louie, in other words, Wikipedia has editorial policies that dictate it can only summarize what a majority of independent, reliable sources say about any given subject, and extraordinary claims, again, sounds like Mick, requires extraordinary proof. I mean, yeah. I mean, and I have no idea if this is Mick. I'm just saying a lot of it. It does sound like him. I certainly don't have any evidence of it. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on this one. Again, Lucky Louie. On January 10th, George Knapp, with Jeremy Corbell, American filmmaker and ufologist, premiered the investigative podcast Weaponized, which explores the unexplained. So he removed that there, right? Is that what happened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because he wouldn't want people to follow that link and pursue to check out their show. So he doesn't want to advertise for them because they're credulous, believers, and it's bunk. So it's his duty to eliminate that anywhere he can. So he's not going to advertise for them.
Here we go. Lucky Louie again. Bio of writer reporter. This is in green, so what he added stuff here, right? Bio of a writer reporter, again, George Knapp, specializing in UFO fringe conspiracy theories, rewritten by and seems to blur the line. Oh, he was having a conversation with someone. Seems to blur the line between fringe and mainstream. He cites text to primary sources, infers old awards for non-UFO journalism, apply to UFO resulted work, could use copy edit. Man, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, he states in some of those, like that one I think you cited, that he wants to blow it up and retool it, rewrite it, because the ones that have too much positive attribute, he wants to completely overhaul the articles and start from scratch in the tone and the evidence that they want to cite. And like I said, they're credible sources. They even determine what are credible sources or not. And if they give any credence to any credibility to the UFO topic and such, then they're considered from there on credulous and not a credible news source or journalist, as the case may be. They're forever not they cite that those are not credible sources anymore, and any editors that try to put those in, they get taken out, and then they get warned, and if they persist, then they get banned.
Yeah. Wow. Just speechless. Okay, this is the Pentagon UFOs Wikipedia page. Here it is right here. What everybody's probably seen, but what they haven't seen is what you discovered under the hood. So again, looking at the top Wikipedia editors. Let's see here, authorship. The top editor is Lucky Louie, and JoJo Anthrax, another one out of that group. Any others that you recognize, or those are the main ones?
I can't read it.
Okay. Okay, so let's dig into this. So we've talked about Lucky Louie. Let's look at JoJo Anthrax's out of the Guerilla Skeptics group. Look at this person's edits. So again, Pentagon. Interpretive error adds in, as is typical in the context of such incidents, extraordinary speculations, adds in extraordinary.
And they rolled up like the Roosevelt videos and all that. They hijack when people start another page, they call it a fork, like with the Roosevelt video. They cite that that's a fork, and they want to consolidate it with this page, and that way they draw it into their control and roll it up into the Pentagon one, and that way they can control the narrative on that too.
Yeah, so here we go again. JoJo Anthrax removes an entire reference to the MQ-9 drone footage with Sean Kirkpatrick and Arrow. Removes that. Removes brief to Senate Armed Services Subcommittee. Remove that. Removes a whole host of stuff here. So somebody puts that up, and then JoJo Anthrax goes and removes it. JoJo Anthrax adds into this page. Writing in the New York Times, author and astrophysicist Adam Frank has claimed that with respect to, quote, evidence of extraterrestrial technology that can defy the laws of physics, close quote, the pilot's reports and recordings from planes, cameras, quote, doesn't amount to much. Completely skews the page.
Yeah, they cite that pilots are not credible sources and they're not reliable, so they can't go with their testimony. I've got multiple examples of that where they state that literally.
All right, Lucky Louie once again adds physicist Don Lincoln, quote, an instrumental glitch or some other unexplained artifact could explain what the pilots were seeing. Added that in. Removes Gone on the Record, released several interviews, and then adds in, when unidentified gauzy blobs appeared on cockpit displays, quote, usually we don't, we just say, quote, we're seeing one of those damn things again, which apparently was a thing that Gray stated. Again, they're trying to skew, the narrative of it. just more, again, here adding in another Leon Golub, astrophysics, talking about mundane explanations such as bugs in the code for the imaging and display systems, atmospheric effects, and reflections. Adds in the sentence, the quote, unidentified gauzy blobs appeared on cockpit displays. Adds in, again, unidentified gauzy blobs, adds in offboard radar.
And they say that the cases that haven't been solved are just because there was too much a low information zone that Mick West coined the term of, Liz. That the only explanation that they haven't been solved as being mundane is because there's not enough information. There's no other possibility, like with the June 25th, 2021 report, the category 5 of other, once all other explanations have been explored and exhausted, that catch-all bin that eliminates all that of airborne clutter and all trash, they refuse to acknowledge that there could be a non-mundane explanation for that. Instead, they keep repeating that there's low information, and that's the only reason they haven't been solved. It's just lack of information.
Yeah. So here again, removing more stuff. Where Fravor talks about it, accelerated like nothing I've ever seen. That was a quote from Fravor. Removed that. And then here's the last one here. Let's see. Added in, UFO skeptic Robert Schaefer has criticized stories of Navy UFO reports appearing in New York Times as, quote, crafted, close quote, by UFO believers that appear neutral and objective when it is anything but, close quote. Schaefer notes that authors Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal have a history of promoting UFOs. Skeptical investigator, here again, they're promoting one of their own. Skeptical investigator Benjamin Radford wrote that Kean has, quote, has a documented history of championing UFO reports that turned out to be mistakes or hoaxes. Wow. Let's look at some of the quotes that you found from these various people. Lucky Louie, simply saying that they were unable to identify it as sensationalism and drama mongering. If used, it would have to include the context that Kirkpatrick said they are unable to identify from a single video.
Yeah, that was in reference to David Grusch's article and his testimony that they were unidentified. He was saying if you put that in there because that lends to it possibly being woo, then I'll add in Kirkpatrick's statement and make it mundane. He's not going to allow that.
Here's more. Here's another comment from him. Mundane skeptical explanations include instrument or software malfunction, anomaly, or artifact. And here he cites Mick West, with the science writer Mick West stating that one of the reported objects in these incidents is most likely a relatively slow-moving object like a bird or a balloon. Back to the birds, always the birds. Mm-hmm. Let's see, I think...
and Lucky Louie, the first appearance of science writer on Wikipedia for Mick West was added to his page by Lucky Louie. He's really fortunate that guy is looking out for him, because otherwise his page would end up vandalized like Ross's and Louie's and all them, with all the negative attributes, because there's a lot of controversy with him too, but it's not allowed on his page.
Yeah, here he goes. He's continuing to talk about gauzy blobs. What is this one? As it is, each individual article is padded out with personalities, background analysis, aftermath that are common to both articles. An appropriate name for the combined article is Pentagon UFO videos. Googling the phrase renders overwhelming results tied to all three videos. So I guess Lucky Louie recognizes that this was the most searched phrase for that particular thing.
Yeah, he wanted to discourage UAP because they wanted the most exposure possible on the search results. So they're going with the most popular terms to get the maximum exposure.
Yeah, I mean, it goes on and on. These are all the conversations that you've found. Excuse me, I'm a little crouped up today. That are all from from this debunker group.
Yeah, none of this is speculation I'm putting out there. I link everything, and I put everything that I state in a document that I send people or that I put out on a post or tweet, whatever. I always include a link. If I make it a statement of fact, I back it up with a credible source where I got it. I don't ad lib anything.
I understand. Okay, so let's get into to David Grusch's page, and we're kind of about the middle of the way here. We may skip forward on a couple of things. I know everyone's interested in in what you discovered on Lue's page, but before we get into this, one of the things I have always asked, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. If, let's say, like, you're into Bigfoot and you do a bunch of Wikipedia pages or tweet about Bigfoot, and I'm like, Rob, you know what? I think the whole Bigfoot thing is a bunch of bullshit, but, knock yourself out. Go have fun. Let you do your thing. I would not spend what appears to be an entire job debunking these subjects. You have to, think about it this way. Our most valuable commodity as humans is time, our time on this earth. So you're telling me that these debunkers that are operating under this Guerilla Skeptics group, that they're doing this full time. Clearly some of them are much less than others, but if I were them and I were doing this as a full-time job, I sure as hell wouldn't be doing it for free. I would want to get compensated for it, which begs to question, are these debunkers getting paid to put this bullshit out there and manipulate Wikipedia?
That's an excellent question. But they also mock people that they claim that they label as ufologists, which is the study of UFOs and everything associated with it. When you spend this much disproportionate time tracking all this information, trying to prove it doesn't exist, that makes people like Mick West, Lucky Louie, and these others, and like Susan Gerbic with the psychic people and all that, they are some of the most prolific ufologists and psychic investigators ever, period, hands down. They're negative ufologists like Mick West and Lucky Louie and Hob Gadling and all them, but they spend disproportionate amounts of time archiving, scouring the media and everything, looking for every opportunity to discredit the topic. So they are actually more immersed in it than the majority of people. It teeters on obsession for some of these people.
It's either an obsession. I don't know if it would not surprise me if they're getting funded by that Center for Skepticism or whatever that is. We showed they had $5.7 million in revenue. It would not surprise me if they were working for a 3-letter agency or a information and perception management contractor where they could compensate these folks for spending this amount of time debunking and it be off the books. All of these information and perception management contractors, by the way, are run under the Office of Undersecretary of Defense for Information for Intelligence and Security under the purview of Ron Moultrie. So if, I don't know, maybe some researchers here can do some digging, find out if any of these folks are listed in the what's called I think it's called the SAM database, which lists government contractors. So if you look for a person's name, also I would suggest looking for their possible aliases and search under the SAM database, government database for contractors. You might be surprised.
I found one of the most senior people in the Guerilla Skeptic organization has an active 12-digit alphanumeric code as a subcontractor for the U.S. government. So, and it's active till 2029, and it started in 2004. So that person, I'm going to follow up on that and find out exactly what that entails, and probably do a FOIA request because they would have to give up the information on that, or at what context that person is subcontracting for the government. So I already know one of them has an affiliation with taking government contracts, and they are one of the senior members of these skeptic fellows, Skeptic Inquiry.
And again, I want to go back to that video package that we just put on, where she said Wikipedia is the most important important thing in a skeptic's toolbox. The most important thing. And I want you to stop and think about the number of editors that she quoted at that skeptics convention. It was like 150 folks that are part of her secret cabal that she talks about. Sit and just digest that for a moment, and the sheer volume of Wikipedia pages that are being tinkered with, rewritten, or created from scratch, like they did with Lue Elizondo and others. I'm telling you, I have no proof, but I swear to God, I can't imagine these folks are doing this shit for free.
What finally kept reflecting on me that really raised my eyebrows on this is, I've read Susan Go's 2003 paper, she was a colonel, thank you for your service, in PSYOPs. This is what she did, for her whole Army career. And now she's the Pentagon spokesman who stated that you cannot separate the duties of public affairs from PSYOPs. You can't do that. And she wrote the case arguing that there should be a law that allows them to control information flow domestically also, and have a senior advisor for the president and the senior at the Pentagon to control inflow and outflow of information. And I'm not saying that these people are working directly for that, but this is the essence of what she had on her wish list. If she could control the narrative domestically, this would be one of the a tool that would be employed, because Wikipedia, with its outreach, and there's not much of a better platform that you could control the narrative with, as part of that process that she outlined in that paper. So I found that very curious that the essence of what they're doing is reflected in her paper of what she was hoping to do domestically, which is against the law. So, that requires a lot more investigation. That's what I've been trying to get people to look at for months now. This was so expensive. I've been working 40 to 80 hours a week on this because I'm disabled, and there's a lot of times I can't do anything physical. So, it took me a long time to even map it out and conceptualize exactly the scope of what's going on as a rudimentary outline. And then when I saw how expansive it was, I realized I needed a lot more eyes on this and help, that could help investigate, research, and archive information. And finally, thanks to Klaus and them retweeting it and drawing attention to this, I'm finally getting the help I need. And I'm not trying to go to a prescribed outcome with this and arbitrarily indict anybody, of being disingenuous or unethical or illegal. I want to follow the facts. And, like somebody put on Twitter that that Lucky Louie's IP address came back to the DOD. That's not accurate. It was an anonymous IP address, because if you don't log in under a profile on Wikipedia, it lists your IP address instead. And that linked back to a naval yard Wi-Fi system, but it was not Mick West or Lucky Louie that was on that one. So I corrected that on Twitter. We have to be accurate. We've got to be better than they are. We need to be
Absolutely.
factual and double check and use primary sources if at all possible, and at least two independent, credible sources. Especially where it matters most.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's, at the end of the day, this is all about being accurate and presenting information to the public that is not biased. When you have a group of Wikipedia editors running out of a nonprofit that are removing accolades of scientists, journalists, and all this other stuff, it is fucking enraging. This is bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. Pardon my French there. This is not a children's show. Again, tell your friends about this show. Somebody just messaged that Jeremy Corbell's about to tweet about it. We're a big fan of the work Jeremy, George, and all all of the work that these journalists, Ross Coulthart, Mark von Rennenkampf, have been doing on this topic. And we should be grateful that they are spending the amount of time doing what they're doing despite all of the arrows that are thrown at them. And again, to you, Rob, for uncovering all of this. And we are just scratching the surface. I am blown away by how much you have uncovered. Absolutely blown away. All right, let's move on to David Grusch.
Okay.
All right, so of course everyone here knows who David Grusch is. Here's the Wikipedia page. This guy is a American hero. What he has gone through and what the debunkers have thrown at him, digging up information about his past mental health issues and trying to make an issue that he's on the spectrum. It's disgusting. These people are disgusting. So let's go through here. There's a lot to dig through on David Grusch's page. J.J. Hake is, sorry, let's go through the top editors here. J.J. Hake, is that somebody out of the Guerilla Skeptics group?
He is one of them. He is one of those that have tried to be more fair and balanced, but he's a low-level editor, and he gets overrode all the time. So when he tries to add in some balance with a positive edit, with it's well-sourced and documented, they're telling him, no, this guy, David Grusch is the most sensational and fringe of all, and we can't allow anything positive attribute. And they put in more lists of like Cabal and all them. We're going to add in even more negative bias to ensure that no one takes him as being credible whatsoever. And for anybody that tries to add in a positive attribute, they get banned, they get blocked, they get pulled out. And then that's where that Kirkpatrick statement came in. It says, well, if you put that in, I'm going to put in Kirkpatrick's statement that, that there's no evidence of any of this. So they counter all of that to push their activist agendas. It's a belief system. It's turned into dogma because they're not following the facts anymore. They're eliminating any facts that don't comport to their belief structure.
Sorry, just had to take a little sip of tea there. Okay, again, so J. Hake, Lucky Louie, no surprise there, a substantial amount of edits. Let's just go down the list here. So again, there's Lucky Louie, some IP addresses, Jojo Anthrax, that person's out of that group. I'm going to click on, expand that to the other 150 others. Just kind of going down the list here, seeing if there's anybody else we recognize or I recognize. I know we're Hop Gatling. That's another one out of that group.
That guy is awful. When they need somebody to come in and start slinging insults like your drunken buddy at a frat party, Hop Gatling's the guy you call on to come in and just eviscerate people and spread the most vile statements and snark and insults. He's the bad cop that they pull in.
Jeremy Corbell just tweeted, and thanks to Jeremy, you're doing great work. Actually, Jeremy is one of the people that really motivated me to get into this game. I really look up to him and the work that he and George are doing. Jeremy just tweeted, friends are telling me this live show by at Good Trouble Show is an important broadcast. I'm going to watch this soon. I hear it's hilarious. I don't know about hilarious. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe in a way, I guess you have to kind of laugh at it. I guess, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I mean, look at the amount of edits that have gone on excuse me, on Dave Grusch's page. Let's dig into that. Let's see here. So we're going to look at the revisions. So Lucky Louie did a bunch of revisions. RP 2006, another one out of that group. Again, we saw Jojo Anthrax. I don't think we're going to go ahead. Sorry.
RP 2006 is not supposed to be editing living person's pages. He got banned from that unless he had that block removed. After the block in 2022, arbitration committee said that he's not supposed to be editing on people's living persons pages unless he's doing it in a talk page for discussion. I think he might be able to get away with that.
So, and I think it's fair to say here, we don't know that RP 2006 is a person, but evidence points to a very famous skeptic. I think he's known as the well-known skeptic, Rob Palmer, and which would, of course, tie in with RP. And the reason I'm making that connection is Susan, at one of those big skeptics conventions, calls out Rob in the audience and references exactly what you just spoke about. So, I don't know that 100%, but circumstantially, by what she has said in public, it certainly seems that that is RP 2006, and we do know that that RP 2006 is a member of this Guerilla Skeptics Wikipedia editor group. Okay. Let's dig through these David Grusch revisions. It's absolutely obscene. No other way to put it. Grusch said, they got rid of said and put in claimed. Got rid of, again, removed said and instead asserted he claims to have. Grusch claims secondhand knowledge. Claims. Instead of public statements, claims. Grusch's public statements, removes statements, puts in claims. Claims, removes allegations, claimed in response. It goes on and on. The manipulation, the rewriting of David Grusch's page.
The title, I just want to make this one point. David Grusch, UFO whistleblower claims, when they settled on that, Lucky Louie wrote that as the title. And interestingly, Mick West on his Debunk page has David, a category on David Grusch whistleblower claims. So the only difference is the term UFO that's not in the Debunk. And Lucky Louie argued to not put UFO in the David Grusch page, but he lost that one. So it's almost identical to what Mick West and Lucky Louie wrote for their titles to describe David Grusch.
Wow.
I've got that archived with links too, and I can provide to anybody who wants the information.
Unbelievable. Okay, again, more editing here of David Grusch's page, where he adds in, characterize the debrief website, says it specializes in frontier science, itself is funded science. Lucky Louie adds in something, a quote from Mick West. Big surprise there. Science writer Mick West said that Grusch is saying isn't accurate and that the video evidence doesn't stack up. Adds a reference to MSN. Removes reference to the Joe Rogan podcast. Gets rid of that.
Yeah, he's not a reliable source anymore either, according to them.
Adds in the sentence on David Grusch's page, prompting Real Clear Science editor Ross Pomeroy to comment, quote, no, the burden of proof has not shifted. Aliens are not the default explanation when a simpler explanation readily does the job. According to Pomeroy, quote, Kaku is seriously jeopardizing his reputation and misleading, I think the physicist, and misleading the public through his unscientific news stance on UFOs. Let's see. Removes. Interviewer Coulthart stated, again, going after Coulthart. Interviewer Coulthart stated on June 9th that he himself considered Grusch to be highly credible and that he believed Grusch's claims to be true. Removed that. It just unbelievable. And that was out of a reference to Elizabeth Varga thing.
Systematic character assassination is what it is.
It totally is. Removes a reference to Representative Mike Gallagher talking about David Grusch. He was glad to see more open conversation about UAPs. Lucky Louie deletes that. Here we go. Lucky Louie adds a big fat paragraph. Skeptic Michael Shermer dismissed Grusch's claims as, quote, the latest semi-annual the government is hiding alien spacecraft story. Excuse me. Just goes on. I don't want to lose my voice here. Removes reference. Senate Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Mike Round's leader proposed amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act. Removes that important piece of information from David Grusch's page. folks, this is not what, this is an abomination of what free press is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be biased and doing what's happening here. Removed the phrase and asserted that Grusch had briefed both intelligence committees. Added in, Klein reported that during interviews with both Grusch and King, quote, it became clear that neither had seen photos of the alleged craft. Lucky Louie. Added in, which did not allow for thorough fact-checking. Look at this huge amount of stuff that was cut out by Lucky Louie. Lucky Louie, this sure seems to be a full-time job, debunking. Adds in June 2023, officer and intelligence official David Grusch publicly claimed in interviews based upon information he alleged to have received from other officials that U.S. federal government maintains a highly secretive UFO recovery program and is in possession of extraterrestrial spacecraft. In response, U.S. Department of Defense and NASA both issued statements saying that no evidence for these claims has been found. Removes Lucky Louie removes 3 news outlets during, removes including a television interview with Ross Coulthart, again targeting Ross Coulthart. Oops, shit. Oop, messed that up. Let's see. You know what? We've gone through quite a bit of those.
He also discounts Compass Rose and the IG, and writes that, you know, where they said that the IG briefed Congress and skip rooms and intelligence committees. He goes there. You know, he wrote that there's no evidence of that, so we're going to say that they claimed to do that, and tried to imply that Compass Rose distanced themselves from him with McCullough, and that, but that's not the case. It's not factually correct. So he tried to discount that as well with the Compass Rose lawyers and Charles McCullough.
Let's look at RP 2006, who is supposedly not supposed to be editing Wikipedia pages. if this is the famous skeptic Rob Palmer. So revision here adds in, writing about Grusch's claims, a senior astronomer for the SETI Institute said Grusch either can't or won't prove extraterrestrials are here, and until he does, we should consider his claims to be just stories. He's talking about Seth Shostak, who is on that board or whatever that was that I was showing.
Skeptical Inquiry.
He's
a fellow of that alumni.
Exactly. Yeah. So here's another one. Here we go. RP 2006 adds in a substantially large paragraph from UFO debunker Seth Shostak, who is trying to pass himself off as an astronomer, I guess. Senior astronomer of the SETI Institute. And it blows me away that this guy from SETI, who is actively involved in this massive $5 million skeptic nonprofit, is out there pontificating about UFOs when he clearly has an agenda. Seth Shostak, senior astronomer, about Grusch's claims, asking, but where is the evidence? Shostak concluded that from the standpoint of science, there's no good evidence that extraterrestrials are visiting Earth, only an argument from authority. Grusch says they're here, but either he can't prove it or he won't. Until he does, we shouldn't consider his stories to, or we should consider his stories to be just that, stories. So we'll do one more here. Again, RP 2006, adding in references from other skeptics, other debunkers. President of the New England Skeptical Society, Steve Novella, adding more of his stuff in. It's just crazy. Go ahead.
I've got multiple examples that they wrote in their talk pages and such, where they were citing that David Grusch is just the latest product of George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, and them to trot out another credulous believer, and that it all goes back to OSAP and NIDS days with the same, they think that the only scientists are Travis Taylor and Eric Davis, and that they convinced, that David Grusch, that these stories are true. And I guess they also try to imply that Schumer and all them bought into these interesting stories by these same grifters and con men, and that they're wasting taxpayer money based on no evidence, except that most of these people have never been in a classified program. And even Kirkpatrick has never gone under oath to state what he has stated, diametrically opposite of what David Grusch did. And most people need to remember, you don't casually go and lie to the IG, the ICIG, and the Congressional Intelligence and Oversight Committees. You'll go to jail, you get fined. And as much as the DOD wanted to shut David down and discount his talking points and his assertions, they couldn't come out and state that he was lying and prosecuting, because they can't. What he's saying is true. It's held up to scrutiny. So they go to character assassination said, and it seems that alphabet agencies leaked his where to FOIA to find his derogatory medical history, and Ross and them called that from the inception. How are they going to attack you? If they're going to try and discount you. And he said, well, there's this one incident, but those records should have been sealed for Loudoun County, but they weren't, and they were released. And when I researched the laws there for Virginia, they can release if it was a police action and a crime. This was not a crime, so it was miscategorized, and he had a right to medical privacy under the laws of Virginia, and they violated those. So
it's these people operate in the gutter. Clearly, I'm blanking on the journalists. I wouldn't even call him a journalist that published all that stuff in order to. Yeah, I mean, it is enraging what these people are doing. So let's get to some of the talk pages related to David Grusch. Again, these talk pages are the Wikipedia editors debating back and forth about an edit. So here's one from Lucky Louie. To an editor. Good that you're looking to keep things grounded, improve the article, and avoid sensationalism. But it sounds like you're saying that, quote, even though it can't be confused with a fringe concept, we must use an obscure but precise legal term. Nevertheless, it just kind of goes on here. The high-quality sources like the New York Times and the major networks are ignoring it at the moment until they weigh in. It's basically fringe. Yeah, I mean, it just, here's one from Hob Gadling, another one out of this group. Disclosure is the legal name of one of the document, which is a tiny part of the subject. The article is not about the document. It's about only a UFO fan would call disclosure. UFO is still the common term. But of course, ufologists jump on the UAP wagon because it makes them seem less crazy. Again, this is from Guerilla Skeptics member Hob Gadling. Makes them less crazy. We have no reason to help that fringe subculture appear respectable. This is what they're talking about when they're editing these Wikipedia pages.
Yeah, right there.
Here's another one from Knapp. Knapp and Corbell, longtime UFO grifters. Who says grifters a lot?
Mick.
That Grusch first pitched them the story. Tells me this kerfluffle. Who says kerfluffle? Sounds like a British term. May not go much further. Lucky Louie.
And he misspelled it, which he misspells through as well.
Wow.
Because he argues that should be a word, so ergo he uses it.
Kerfluffle?
Through, THRU instead of THROUGH. He argues that it should be the abbreviated word, and he also puts his, Mick West puts his the English punctuation with quotation marks. The period and question marks go outside of the quotation marks, which Lucky Louie does that prolifically as well. So they both use the THRU and the same punctuation styles that are atypical as well, along with a lot of atypical phraseologies that are common to the two of them, but aren't in the normal vernacular of anybody else. And I've got, I've got at least 70 examples of that and running so far.
Say that again?
I have over 70 examples of atypical phrases, the spelling inaccuracies and the unique punctuation that are common between Lucky Louie and Mick West, but are not in the vernacular of the average person, especially when you put, like 2, 3 word phraseologies together. They both use those atypical terms repetitively, catchphrases that are unique to them, that their diet, there's only so many words in a person's vocabulary. And I have cited at least 70, and I can, I'm still working on the list that shows that their vocabularies are highly similar of what and their talking points. And I even ran it through Chat GPT that showed that they're either the same person or extremely knowledgeable of each other.
So
you got to remember that.
So you excuse me. So you ran text from Lucky Louie and Mick West through AI, and you're saying it matched?
They said there's a very statistical high probability they are either the same person or that somebody that they know each other extremely well, because they couldn't qualify that it was, because they didn't have concrete evidence, and they didn't want to go on the record, with the GPT as a statement of fact when they couldn't prove it 100% conclusively. But they determined that in all likelihood they are the same person or extremely knowledgeable of each other. And it even looks like they take vacations together, because Lucky Louie, on the day, he's consistent with his edits, but it seems to be dips when Mick is known AFK. So's Lucky Louie. It's just really quite a coinkydink. And I'm still pursuing that too.
All right. And again, we don't know that it's Mick, or it's
No.
what you're finding sort of evidence that points there, but we're not saying it's Mick on here. So
No,
I'm not.
I'm not. I'm just saying it's very interesting, and I put together packages for people that are verbatim links that I've copied out of examples of Lucky Louie and examples of Mick West for specific people that, like Bob Lazar, Lue Elizondo, and Dave Grusch and all them. I put together documents for each one that cites example of what Lucky Louie says about them and what Mick West says about them. So I've got huge samplings of both of them on each person that a lawyer or those people can then go through and make up their own minds of what the probabilities are. And I dare say if they want to pursue legal action, they would have to unmask who these people are, and bringing it to Wikipedia's attention. If they let it ride, being made aware of this, the affronts to living people, that's disparaging their reputations without evidence that they're claiming that are targeted agendas, that makes them culpable as well.
The legal exposure is I would think, substantial. And I would guess, it's probably, I would imagine an attorney that's filing a libel suit, it would be a bit of an uphill battle discovering or getting Wikipedia to reveal the identity of those Wikipedia editors. However, and I'm not a lawyer, it would seem to me an attorney for, let's say, David Grusch or George Knapp or Ross Coulthart, all they would need to do is sue the nonprofit, and through the process of discovery, force them to reveal who their cabal of editors, their 150-ish editors, to reveal the identity. I would imagine legally they would be able to compel them to do so. I sure as hell hope they do.
And that's partly what motivated me, because a lot of these people that were scientists, academics, some of them are topic banned, that are doing pioneering research like on cancer and different other afflictions and such. It is, when you have somebody that is like not Gary Nolan, but somebody of his equivalency that is making breakthrough research that can benefit the masses, and they are topic banned because they happen to, because these skeptics happen to disagree with their research, and it's not, widely acceptable. Like when they found out that the Earth was round instead of flat, everybody knows it's flat. So, anybody that says it was round, gets burned at the stake like Bruno. And that's what we're seeing here. they just don't allow it. And it doesn't matter how much benefit that person could potentially have towards society as a whole. They're not having it when it goes against their beliefs and their dogma. They do everything they can to discount them. So what I recognized was that they've done this to so many people systematically, academics, professionals, scientists, that there's and I've taken a lot of business law classes and criminal both to understand that that this has the makings of a class action lawsuit of how they systematically across all these platforms gone after these people's reputations and undermined them. And they like David Grusch, I kept reading new people in UFO with the same negative talking points, and at first I couldn't figure out where they came from, but as I went down this avalanche rabbit trail, I realized that they've been doing this to people for over a decade, almost 2 decades now in some cases. And these people, like with disclosure and trying to make it like what Gary Nolan says in the Soul Foundation, they're trying to break the stigma of this. And like Eric Weinstein, when he talked to Mick West last year, he wanted to remove that stigma and stop pressuring people and humiliating them and allow some honest dialogue with factual based evidence to debate this in the public forum. But these people do not think that the average person is intelligent enough to make this decision for themselves. So they bigot the sources and don't let them see the opposing viewpoints for the argument and determine for themselves.
It's just crazy. And I want to take a moment here. A lot of people have donated via Super Chat. We really appreciate it. It allows us to pay the bills, bring you this show, and bring you great guests like Rob. And we've got more great shows coming up. So we hope if you're not a subscriber to our show, please do that. Also, follow us on Twitter. If you go to the YouTube description, you will see all of our links to our various social media platforms. So anyway, I just want to take a little mid-station break.
Yeah. And I don't get paid for any of this, and I'm not paid by anybody. I don't work for any government organizations. I've not been approached by any government organizations to take this up. I did this all on my own recognizance because it shocked my conscience with it, and I saw the unfair treatment of these people, and frankly I was just appalled, and I couldn't let it go. And the more I dug, the worse it got, and there was no way I could just walk away from this conscionably because of the substantial damage to reputation and topics that this has been systematically causing, and no one was aware that this was happening. But kind of like Travis Taylor wrote at first, he was like, well, don't give the trolls oxygen, don't pay attention to them, it's not that big a deal. And then he read the statements about him, and then he came back and said they need to burn in hell, essentially, because when he saw what they were saying and how widespread it was, he was incensed and like, oh my God, they have no idea how insidious this is, like a cancer toward accurate, unbiased information flow. They need to be presenting, if they're taking government grant money, they are acting like a political organization. And I'm willing to bet that it could be argued that they're in violation of that. So if Wikipedia wants to get government funds and exist as it is, they're going to have to do some serious retooling of this. And these guerrilla skeptics have been causing substantial controversy multiple times over the last 5 to 8 over a decade now, and they determined in the boards that they're really causing problems, but Wikipedia would be worse off without them, so we're just going to let them ride and just tell them to be more nice about it. And then that emboldened Susan Gerbic and her crew, where they just they are glorifying it now. And like what they wrote about Lue Elizondo last year, when he was mentioning maybe getting he can't even change his birthday to the right place. And she was mocking him in one of the comments of, oh, how cute, Lou's trying to get a lawyer, that's my page. And, basically saying he's not going to get it done. And they think they're untouchable.
It's literally mob mentality, mobster mentality. And again, folks, stop and think about this. Wikipedia, the seventh most trafficked site in the world, and you've got this group run under the banner of a nonprofit that their stated purpose in these videos that we showed you, their stated purpose is to go after these Wikipedia pages, rewrite them, overhaul them, modify them, basically attack anything that they view as pseudoscience and bend the image of that Wikipedia page to their will. Facts be damned. Let's go back into a little bit of some more stuff here on David Grusch's page. Here we go, Lucky Louie. Good points. At the moment, my suggestion is the least incendiary title among the talk page editors. Again, I think when the high quality journalistic sources weigh in, they will probably ID it for what it is: UFO conspiracy claim. But until then, this is from J.J. Hake. I really don't want to stick around and babysit. Let's hope it all turns out well. So getting back to my rationale for David Grusch, just it's more just.
Yeah, they stated in that one that was interesting because they said that David Grusch's name will become synonymous with UFO. That they'll become one and the same. If you mention Grusch, it's just going to automatically default to UFO. Fringe believer, credulous believer. So, yeah, that's where they think this is going.
Here's another one from Lucky Lou. Indeed, the whistleblower filing was the latest creative twist on attention seeking by the usual UFO grifters, enabled by Keene and Blumenthal. And I wouldn't want a title that encouraged credibility. So here he is, Lucky Louie, one of the main members of this secret cabal, that is stating that in David Grusch's Wikipedia page, they do not want a title that gives David Grusch credibility. Let that sink in. I mean, it just boggles my mind.
Undermine at all costs. Do not let him get any traction. And like I said, this spans across multiple platforms. The CSI fellows and all that. They use the Skeptical Inquirer publications, YouTube, Debunk. They have these seminars. They have skeptic workshops. I mean, this is very well coordinated effort and very large. It's huge. And guerrilla warfare is atypical, which means you're working under the radar. You're doing unconventional methods, whatever it takes to win. Period. That's what guerrilla warfare is. Unconventional tactics. And fly under the radar as much as possible, which they have been doing with impunity for a very long time, and they think they're untouchable. And Susan, I know you're watching this, and you think that this is just laughable and it's going to blow over. And she was even writing to where, how cute they're going to not be donating to Wikipedia. I don't think she understands. Not just specific individuals. If they are in violation of their charitable organization charter, they could get government funding pulled too.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I just want to point out that you've got that one major skeptical, I'm blanking on the name, but 5.7 million or whatever it is, you can look it up on the IRS website. Look at the amount of revenue that they have coming in. Look at the amount of revenue this outfit has leaving the door. Where is that money going?
And where's it coming from?
And where is it coming from? So here again from Lucky Louie, have been mixed. I assume this means public responses from legislators might be good to clarify. I'm going to kind of go through more of these a little bit. And let me ask you this: is there you've posted a lot of this on your Twitter page, correct?
Yes.
So folks, check out
with links, not just screenshots. I put the links in there. Some of the posts I made, I have like 15 to 20 links in there that are directly affecting this topic. So there's a host of information there where I was trying to raise awareness, and it's all backed up with links. So I didn't conjecture anything. If I state it as fact, I've got a link to it that points to that fact. And I let people, and I keep writing, I'm letting people make up their own minds of what they determine that this means to them. I'm not gonna arbitrarily tell people you're not intelligent enough or educated enough to make your own decisions, and we're gonna do it for you because you're too stupid to think for yourself.
Where on Twitter can people find you and find the links to this evidence?
Just go to my Twitter page, and Rob Heatherly. You can use the search bar, put in Wikipedia and it'll pull up all my posts for those.
All right,
And
we'll
then
go.
just go through them.
We're going to go through a few more of the talk between editors on David Grusch's page. Lucky Louie here. In some cases, it's pretty clear Wikipedia isn't written like the script of a horror movie trailer. We don't cherry pick dramatic quotes to hype a feeling of mystery or urgency. You can't make this shit up. Here we go. Lucky Louie. That ufology is a pseudoscience. Again, a very common term used by the Guerilla Skeptics, is an uncontroversial assertion, so there's no need to modify the text. So-called off-world speculations.
And as long as they can cite that mainstream consensus says there's nothing that UFOs don't exist, then they get away with labeling pseudoscience and bunk and high conspiracy, credulous. What's the other word that they use? Sensational claims. So they tag them with that, and then they think that justifies going. They say that they're just a small organization trying to offset the avalanche of credulous believers. So they have to try and balance the books with as much negative counterbalance as possible. And they keep restating that in there, that we are not trying to be neutral in these articles. We are trying to prove them wrong because mainstream consensus says this doesn't exist. And as long as it says that, and they're cherry picking what they determine as mainstream sourcing. And if it goes against them, like I said, they blacklist like Schellenberger, Merrick, The Hill, multiple news outlets, even Popular Science, when they put out an article that then validity to this, then that is now no longer a credible source of information.
Yeah, wow. Here we go again. This is again David Grusch conversation on the talk page on David Grusch's page from Lucky Louie. FYI, Wikipedia itself favors mainstream scientific views and disfavors what is often described as woo, fringe conspiracy, supernatural, paranormal, occult, or pseudoscientific beliefs or points of view. Mm-hmm. So it's not up to editors to trawl through primary sources. Why is that in there? And that's Lucky Louie.
Yeah, that one is important to read, and it's interesting that little phrase "trawl through" because Mick uses that term a lot too.
I've never heard of trawl through before.
Yeah, you need to read this one because there's something in the body. This I remember was high. Oh yeah, he says he doesn't believe anything that David Grusch says. You can read that for me because I can see it.
Let's see. It's not up to editors to trawl through primary sources and pick out which 6 things are the most important out of hundreds. I'm sure he says plenty of things. Again, he's talking about David Grusch here. I'm sure he says plenty of things defending his credibility and making a case for why people should believe him. But you've skipped over those in favor of things that help make your case. Look, I don't believe anything Grusch is selling and agree he's into all kinds of woo-woo. But I'm not going to twist and bend editorial policies in order to make the article emphasize that. Secondary sources will come along and soon. And no, not Twitter posts. Be patient. Love, Lucky Louie.
Calling Grusch a liar.
Yeah. All right. That's all the stuff. Yeah, and again, go to Rob's page, everyone, and you can dig for yourself through the stuff we're just kind of trying to get through here, so we can get to other stuff on the other pages. We're going to briefly here look at Hal Putoff's page, briefly look at Linda Moulton Howe, Bob Lazar, and then we're going to end on Lue Elizondo. But yeah, it's just insane. And again, I want to thank everybody for sticking through us through this show. I can't emphasize enough the hard work, the thousands of hours that Rob here has put in to bring you this is significant, and we all owe him a debt of gratitude because this is something people need to know is going on. And quite frankly, Congress needs to know that this is going on. When you have a group of 150-ish Wikipedia editors, part of this, as Susan Gerbic calls, part of her secret cabal, manipulating Wikipedia and manipulating what the American people and people of the world see on this UFO topic, it's a perversion of free press. And if it were me, if I were Congress, if Tim Burchett or any of you folks are listening, I would absolutely haul the leadership of Wikipedia in front of Congress, present them with this evidence that Rob has found. And again, we're just scratching the surface. We're just talking about UAPs. There are hundreds of topics, millions. I mean, unbelievable. Congress should look into this. They really should. Let's look at Hal Puthoff's page. His is very short, so we're just going to kind of go through it here. He's got a small page, but look, S. Gerbic has worked on it. Let's find out what and Hob Gadling. Actually, let's look at S. Gerbic's first. So what has Susan done? Here we go. She added in, according to Martin Gardner, Puthoff and Targ, quote, imagined they could do research in parapsychology, but instead dealt with physics who were cleverer than they were. This is on Hal Puthoff's page from the leader of this Wikipedia group and the owner or the chair, I'm guessing, of this 501c dedicated to doing this kind of work. Let's look at Hob Gadling. What's Hob been up to on Hal Puthoff's page? Added in, and others have noted that zero-point energy is considered to be a pseudoscience. Again, pushing the debunker point of view.
That was the label that Hal was trying to get removed from that page in 2017. He supplied about 5 or 6 peer-reviewed papers proving that his work was not pseudoscience, and they countered it with a book that called his work pseudoscience. So they took out his peer-reviewed papers and left that reference in there, calling it pseudoscience, because that's the mainstream consensus. So ergo, he gave up. He basically put it in his talk page there that any students or people that try to come here for accurate information about my work, this is not the place to find it. I give up because I have tried to correct the record here, or at least give a fair representation of his point of view to offset the other point of view, and they wouldn't have it. So he finally just gave up, and that was so disheartening for me to read things like that. For him, it literally heartbreaking that he was just trying to get the pseudoscientific label taken off this page. He couldn't get done. So it's just awful.
So an American scientist is who probably has better things than to argue with a group of Wikipedia editors that are hell-bent on making him look like a quack. He's spending his time trying to correct his Wikipedia page, and again, 7th most trafficked site in the world. And anybody that goes and looks up Dr. Hal Puthoff sees this bullshit on there, and he can't do anything to remove it because this cabal of Wikipedia editors, they know what they're doing. They have the ranking in terms of Wikipedia editors to knock anybody else out of the game.
And that's the overarching problem I saw with this, is there is no remedy for living persons to redress and appeal their own pages to get them corrected. You can't there's no phone number that you can call anybody. You can email, but you're lucky you'll ever get a response. There is no recourse or remedy for them to correct their page with facts. And some of these people, it's their life's work, their reputations, their livelihoods, and they have no redress. Wikipedia does not have a process for people to successfully get their pages corrected, like Lue Elizondo's that we're going to get into. He had somebody that spent extensive time last year trying to correct his page, and they struck out, and big time. And Susan them, in their talk pages, and like I said earlier, you have to go through the edits and scroll through and find all these talk page archives, because they keep archiving those conversations where people, unless you really look, can't find them, and they don't know these conversations took place.
And
that's
all
what
of
the real
and
data is.
these conversations, they can't be deleted, correct?
Nope, but they keep finding ways to bury them further and further to where they're not discoverable. Because at first, when I started doing this a couple of months ago, I noticed that I could readily find the archive talk pages, but these admins that are on their group, they can further modify the links. Like, you're supposed to give a footnote of why you made an edit. Well, they don't, but you have to look at the edit count. If it says like 80,000 characters or something, then that's a talk page that's probably been archived. So they remove the means to be able to identify even where it's a talk page and where to find it, unless you really know how to dig. And it's taken me months to figure all that out, of how they are systematically manipulating the system. And like I said, they write their own rules in some instances, and then apply those rules to ban other editors from.
This is just it's nothing short of gangster mentality. It's perverse. It truly is.
They've hijacked the platform. It's Skeptipedia now.
It's Skeptipedia. Again, Harold D. Putoff's page adds in, removes 0 point energy and adds in purported applications of 0 point energy. And then here Hob Gadling is telling this other person, this other Wikipedia editor, he says, or her, whoever, he or she, who knows, 0 point energy itself is not pseudoscience, and Pugliacci does not say it is. It is minimum energy level. I don't know what any of that means. One more. So it all goes back into that. Anyway, I'm sorry, you were going to say.
Yeah, I was just saying that I did understand it with their, his work in 0 point energy. They've proven it. I mean, even Feynman said that a cupful could boil, but if you knew how to tap into the quantum field, there's enough energy there in 1 cup to boil away all of our oceans, literally. So it's just a matter of learning how to spark the quantum vacuum, because it's not actually a vacuum. That there's energy being held there. That if we knew how to tap into it, would change the world. Like anti-gravity that they think they may have cracked and stuff, we wouldn't need fossil fuels and all that stuff anymore. But they are trying to discredit that any of that science exists, and it is all bunk and fringe. And interestingly, any government conspiracy, they're hands down going against any of that took place. Like they're denying that they did chemical tests by spraying Americans, like giving certain demographics syphilis and things like that, and different types of mosquitoes with infections and all that stuff. Until they can prove it, none of that exists. That's just pure paranoid skepticism, or not skepticism, credulous people, and that none of that exists, and that's their position. Until you can prove otherwise, and we bigot what proof is. So if it doesn't fit our belief structure, then we reject it.
Here's Linda Moulton Howe from who is this? Lucky Louie. The reliable secondary sources now in the article do not give Howe any credibility whatsoever. Excuse me, as a science reporter or objective mainstream journalist, our sources actually say the opposite, naming her as an alien conspiracy advocate and placing her among top ufology gurus such as Whitley Strieber. That's why I think the vast self-source list is irrelevant. So yeah, they went after her. Let's look at Bob Lazar.
Yeah,
I take it there's quite a bit there with Lazar to look at.
Literally, there is more angst and vitriol and discounting of him and attempts to discount him. I've just started archiving that, but I think that there is more negative information on Bob Lazar than the rest of them combined. That they have such a ardent agenda against him for many years now. That Lucky Louie and that Cabal And then you have Mick West that dedicated even 2.5 hour YouTube segment alone on it, of many segments of, every chance he gets, he bashes Lazar. And there was a talk page where he's asking another editor, if you can find more mainstream articles that label him as a criminal, then I will put criminal in the first sentence of his talk page. Criminal conspiracy theorist is what he wanted to do, move it up from the bottom to the top. We just need more mainstream sources that label him as a criminal, and we're going to put it up there. And I watched the video last night even where he was saying, well, yeah, he was involved with a whorehouse, and and basically calling him a pimp. It was disgusting. I mean, it just went rampant of how they have vitriolically attacked him, and he has had no recourse because, like you said, his academics were all scrubbed. He can't prove any of it, so he's an open target for, they've had a free for all against him, and it's vicious and it's savage. They've even insulted him to where they claim that his wife, his first wife, committed suicide because he cheated on her, and then just quickly married the other woman. I mean, just complete character assassination. It's horrific what they've done to Lazar.
And all of this is on his Wikipedia page.
It's on Wikipedia. It's on, we've got Lucky Louie and the Cabal that are systematically on Wikipedia that is volumes and volumes of detrimental information on Lazar and references, and Knapp saying that, that he's trotting him out, like OSAP and all that stuff, and using him as a tool to get their credulous, broadcasting out there, to profit off of this, basically, that they're using him as a fiduciary vehicle to advance their false agendas. But then you also have all these other platforms of Mick West and Skeptical Inquiry and all them making all these articles, videos, seminars that are also attacking his credibility, and he has no recourse. There's nothing. You couldn't even start to defend him unless you had a lawyer or somebody, but there's no evidence that he could mount to push back, and nobody would, yet take up the torch for him to defend his position with this. I mean, it goes beyond unethical and illegal. I mean, I think if you wanted to try and push somebody to over the edge, and I've worked with nonprofit veteran organizations manning suicide hotlines and things. I know what pushes people over the edge, and what they've done to people like Lazar is it's unconscionable, and people do self-terminate from far less than these attacks. So they're not even respecting, they're dehumanizing it. They don't even respect them as living human beings.
And when you go through and you read the talk pages from this debunker group, it is very obvious what their agenda is.
You can put Bob Lazar in quotation marks in an advanced search, and then any editor, and it'll pull up every instance of where that editor has mentioned Bob Lazar. So you can query all these different editors and see every comment in every talk page. And I think when they archive a talk page, though, it removes the editor reference and it's not discoverable. See, that's another trick that they use. Because I've noticed it with Lucky Louie, when it was on the active talk page, it would come up when I did a query like that. But if it was archived in a talk page, then it didn't come up anymore. But, I went through and found the talk pages manually and found the references by, Lucky Louie and others about Bob Lazar, as an example. But when you query that, you will not find it. And that's another tool they use. But right. I'm putting together exhaustive links and anybody that wants information to pursue this, just contact me, because I've archived, I couldn't even begin to tell you how many links, and I've got over 2,000 screenshots, and I've got links to all of these prominent pages, queries that I've done. I've documented all of this. I didn't leave anything to conjecture and chance. I wanted to be able to conceptualize and articulate it to other people. So if they want to pursue it for whatever reason, for stories, legal, whatever, I can put them on the right path.
I just got a text from Dave Scott. I forgot I'm actually on his show in an hour, so we're gonna have to keep moving here. So yeah, I'll just show a couple of the things that Lucky Louie and others have said about Bob Lazar. I'm not sure it's appropriate for the article to place so much editorial weight on a YouTube video, especially since the only parts of that one editor finds interesting, and the source is George Knapp, who is an established fringe proponent, an occasional host of probably, I'm not sure, I've lost that there. Anyway, I just got to keep track of time here. So we're gonna jump because I do want to take some questions. We're skipping over. Well, we just did Bob Lazar, but we literally just scratched the surface on it. Again, folks, go to Rob Heatherly's Twitter page. Look at what he has there. It's yeah. All right. Let's look at, let's see here, Lucky Louie. So I'm digging through here. Probably not going to have much of a voice for Dave Scott's show. Okay, here we go. Luis Elizondo. Here's his page. Let's look at the average time between edits, 3.9 days. They're going after his page all the time. And I want to remind you, Susan Gerbic, however you pronounce it, the head of this Wikipedia Guerilla Skeptics group, her secret cabal, she created from scratch Lue Elizondo's Wikipedia page. Created it.
And controls it.
And controls it.
Because the majority rules.
The majority rules. Let's look at the top editors. Lucky Louie, Jojo Anthrax, Justifax. I
know those well.
All of these folks. So let's dig into it and what they've done to Lue's page. This should enrage everybody. Here we go. Again, doing everything they can to disparage him. So if you have no idea what kind of American hero Lue Elizondo has been to this country, you go and you look at this page, and if you haven't been tracking him and you don't know the real story, you're getting a one-sided, biased view that this is not how you treat American veterans, period. All right, here we go. Removed where he headed a Pentagon program called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. Removed that. Removed headed major studies. This is important here, folks. I want you to think about this. The last sentence, they removed, Elizondo still maintains a U.S. government security clearance. But instead, and I think this is Lucky Louie, right, that did this edit? Inserts, yep. But critics question Elizondo's credibility and credulity. Credulity, yep. Thank you. Glad somebody can talk here. Added in this phrase. This goes at the heart. This goes at the heart of trying to discredit Lue Elizondo by any means possible. This is wrong. Again, Lucky Louie adds in, was asked by businessman and paranormal enthusiast, Robert Bigelow, enthusiast. Excuse me. So sorry. Insane. I'm going to mute my mic while I cough. Again, more stuff removed.
Yeah, they took out the Harry Reid reference that said he was, leader of ATIP and all that. Even Jim Smivan took a SCIF official briefing in his official position within the CIA while Lue was director of ATIP. In that context, I've even put that on my timeline on Twitter. They wouldn't allow that in there either as a credible source. And they cited Harry Reid controversies, so he's not a credible source either.
And they're saying he's not a credible source. However, the guerrilla skeptics can go and add a sentence in, quote, but critics question Elizondo's credibility and credulity.
Yeah. And then they list Mick West, Cavalito, and all these others, Shermer, anybody they shove in there to discredit Lue, they put in there. There's more propaganda against him than there is that actually describes who he is and what he does.
Propaganda indeed. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Here we go. Look at all of this that they deleted about his senior intelligence officer, defense counterintelligence field activity, Office of National Counterintelligence, all of these accolades, all of these accolades before, it's just unbelievable. Somebody just suggested, and we'll read it here in a second, Lue's statement before I lose my voice. Yeah, again, a start in, all of this stuff removed. Yeah, it's just remove the Harry. Here we go. Here's the Harry Reid letter removed. Removed the sentence despite his professional background. Removed that. So it reads, but critics question Elizondo's credibility and credulity. I still can't pronounce it. Remove that. Yeah, again, removing all the Senator Reid stuff and instead putting in, Elizondo filed a complaint with the agency's inspector general claiming, quote, a coordinated campaign to discredit him for speaking out. Removed a letter of endorsement from Harry Reid, but inserted, but no evidence that he worked on ATIP. Added in response, including Pentagon press statements asserting he had no official role in UFO research, even after his role was officially confirmed. Elizondo also claims he is a target of a personal vendetta from a Pentagon rival. We all know who that is. Added in here, American ufologist added in to the stars. Added in, Elizondo has since appeared on various media as a UFO expert, but critics question Elizondo's credibility. Got to have that in there. Sorry, I hit the wrong button there. Wow. Let's just read a couple. I promise I won't lose my voice here. I'll try not to. Let's read some of the commentary. We need a page on Louis Elizondo immediately. Oh, this must have been from Gerbic, I'm guessing.
2021.
Okay. We need a page on Louis Elizondo immediately. He's a former head of government program, notable whistleblower, as previous discussed. And so they're talking about they need that. Here we go. Elizondo's interview in GQ is full of wild hyperbole about interdimensional craft, government cover-ups, bending space-time. Yet the quote selected for this article was his pithy observation that he might have been chosen for ATIP because, quote, lack of interest in science and investigation. That gave me a real chuckle, signs Lucky Louie. Who says real chuckle?
Mick uses that a lot. I did a query on that, and I've got it documented, and I have links to all of it. So that's not my conjecture. I can prove it. We brought the receipts, and I can, I'd be glad to give it to anybody that wants it. I'm presenting facts and letting them determine what it means.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's just.
Did you have that one where Susan was mocking him when he mentioned that he was going to get legal counsel to try and correct his page?
I think we have that here. So I just pulled up Gerbic's commentary on Lue Elizondo.
Yeah, right there. Oh, really? Yeah, that's the one that really damned me. That just grinded my gears. So here's the head of this 150-ish strong group of debunking Wikipedia editors. Here's the leader of that group, of this nonprofit group, saying, oh, really? A legal team? That's priceless. I wrote the Elizondo page and have been quite entertained at all the changes that they are trying to be forced. Think about that.
Oh, really? A legal team. That's priceless. I wrote the Elizondo page and have been quite entertained at all the changes that they are trying to be forced. Susan Gerbic.
Like his accurate place of birth that keeps getting put in and pulled out numerous times.
Here we go. I mean, this thing goes on. And again, people, you can read this for yourself on Rob Heatherly's Twitter page. He has all this stuff. Here's something from JoJo Anthrax, part of that same.
He's an admin. He's got senior privileges.
Okay, here I'm just going to read this whole thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So she goes on after the commentary about laughing at Lue talking to a legal team. Goes on here, the personal section always gives it away. Quote, Elizondo met his wife Jennifer while attending college in Miami, Florida. Upon Elizondo's graduation from the University of Miami in 95, he immediately joined the United States Army, blah, 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 going on here, close quote. You can almost hear the tone of the editor trying to remove the phrase, his lovely wife and adorable daughter in the paragraph. We don't need to name a minor child, Susan Gerbic here. Yes, much of the content in that article is less than encyclopedic, and that motivated my post above. But did you know also that my edits to the page apparently represent a classic example of why Wikipedia articles cannot be used as credible sources in the academic? I had no idea, signed JoJo Anthrax. Lucky Louie replies, and again, go to Rob's page. Look at these exchanges between this her secret cabal of editors. JoJo answers back. This comes from Lucky Louie. JoJo, you are the editor that is responsible for making Wikipedia articles not credible sources in academic articles. The power you hold. Can I have your autograph and please mentor me? That actually came from, that was from Gerbic.
Yeah. Yep.
JoJo, you are the editor that is responsible for making Wikipedia articles not credible sources in academia. Keep up the good work, JoJo, and you may someday be inducted into the OW, whatever the hell that is.
That is a derogatory term that he got labeled at one point, and he made himself a badge of honor out of it.
Okay. From JoJo Anthrax, LOL, now I have a new goal to be on that list, asked Gerbic. But the voices in my head from outer space still keep telling me that I'll never be one of the cool kids, signed JoJo Anthrax.
The sheer arrogance, it just appalls me to no end.
It truly does. I mean, it's... yeah, so you've been... Go ahead, sorry.
You had a statement from Lue?
Yeah, so we're going to bring that up because you've been talking to Lue. I've been chatting with Lue as well. Here, we're going to bring that up as soon as I can find the right button. So here's our statement from Lue Elizondo. Quote, this is more than just an attempt to disparage a few of us working towards disclosure. In fact, it's an assault on the very freedoms of every American who looks to reliable sources for information. When the outlets designed to inform and clarify information become corrupted by a few reckless, agenda-driven zealots, it becomes downright dangerous for all of our freedoms and casts doubt on all forms of media and freedom of the press. We must do a better job at policing ourselves of these types of characters. Remember, there is no greater evil than that which wears the mask of virtue. Official statement from Lue Elizondo. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that is the tactics that Pol Pot used, Stalin, Xi Jinping, Hitler. When they banished all literature that did not comport to their views, they reinvented history. They changed the narratives. They told the people what they were going to believe arbitrarily. Didn't matter what the facts are. It's what their dogma and their agendas are, and brainwashing and reinventing what reality is and what history is according to their belief structures.
It's interesting too. Lue actually sent us a cropped off version of his passport. He hasn't been able to, what is it, his birth date, they won't let him correct?
The place of birth is Texas, and they keep reverting it back to Florida. That has been put in and pulled out numerous times, I found. They won't, I mean, it must be a running joke for them.
Why do you think they don't want him want it in there?
Because they know that he wanted it changed, and they're being vindictive. They did, like she said, oh really? They think this is a game. They enjoy tormenting people. I mean, these are real people. They are dehumanizing them, and they've done it to even people like Jack Sarfetti. Has done excellent physics work and contributions to society. He can be pretty gruff and cranky a lot, but he's still a living human being that at least deserves to have accurate information on his page. He tried to change his page also and struck out.
Who did?
Jack Sarfetti, against this group. They banned him from his page too. They told him his work was pseudoscientific, that he was not credible, it was all bunk, and they topic banned him. He gave up, just like Al did.
So how many would you say in, and we just scratched the surface. In your research, how many people related to the UFO topic or pages, scientists, or just in your research, what is the number of people you would say have been targeted by this group?
Living persons, they're still alive. Easily close to 100 that I've found by now. And I can put package, that's one of the things I do well. I remember a lot of details, so when I find something, I can match it back up, and I know where to go look for the factual data, so I can go and find the references that correspond to that to prove what they're saying is accurate. And remember where they were disparaged and discounted, I can bring that to bear. And I've put together a lot of documents for specific people, so they could then use that as a roadmap to go and check the sources themselves and decide what it means and what recourse they may want to try and take with it. So anybody that gains any prominence in any topic that they reject, they target them. Every one of them, like psychics and things like Tyler Henry. Yeah, when he got prominence in the media, then they go to work immediately propagandizing him. Anytime like David or Lou or them come out with something positive, immediately the rumor mill on Twitter or on Wikipedia and the Skeptics Inquirer, the articles start rolling out, the YouTube disparaging interviews come out, anything to discredit any forward momentum they get, like with the June 25th, 2021 report. Skeptical Inquirer put out a huge article the day before of why you shouldn't believe what's in that report before they even read it. It's going to be, bunk, and here's why you don't want to believe anything that promotes that UFOs or NHI exist. We're pre-debunking it.
And again, I would point out, this is like a full-time job for some people. And I would also point out that this Center for Inquiry, $5.57 million in revenue. Who is paying them that? That's a shit ton of money. They have $5.92 million in expenses. Who are they paying? They have assets of $7.92 million. What kind of assets? And their liabilities, they only have $1.61 million. In the scheme of things, that's almost nothing. It's
still under, like I said, one of the senior members, I found they say they're using their real name, but they're not, and that person has a 12-digit alphanumeric code that indicates that they are a government subcontractor.
They're in the SAM. They show up in the SAM database.
Right.
Okay. Wow. You know what? This has been a really long show, and I really appreciate everybody sticking through it. But really, what I have to say is just my appreciation, Rob, for what you have done, what you have uncovered, and that you're not. No one's paying you to do this. No one's, giving you any sort of benefits. You're doing it because you know it's the right thing to do. And you see what is happening to these good people that are putting themselves on the line for transparency, for our country, for the world.
Let me touch on that a little bit more. What really incensed me to dig into this and not let go is when they were discounting Grusch's testimony as urgent and credible, and that they were receiving death threats, that they were discounting that was true and accurate. So they are arbitrarily putting these people still at risk because they are discouraging Congress to investigate and others to believe them. So they're left out hanging, and they still have these death threats looming over them, and they can't get traction to. The only way, like for David Grusch, to get out of this, of being accused of spreading woo and falsehoods, is for a congressional. That's what he wanted in the first place, for the ICIG and Congress to investigate his claims, not the public. Congress, under oath, a classified investigation, so they can clear his name and maybe he can get his life back on track. He didn't retire from his stellar career to pursue ufology. He was forced out because his DOD IG report got leaked, and then death threats ensued toward him and several others. And then they had to elevate it to the ICIG, who then kicked it up to Congress to look at. But as long as they're trying to disparage that there's any accuracy to his testimony whatsoever, he's still, those people are still vulnerable to literal attacks, including death, until they get their names cleared. And enough attention to this, as it should be, to investigate the facts and clear their names, and maybe they can get their lives back on track with some kind of vocational career. Because as it stands, they're trying to discredit them to where they can't ever work again, except in a McDonald's or something. And that, I just couldn't let it go.
They must think it's funny. I mean, I guess it's not funny for getting paid a bunch of money under the table to do this shit, but if that is indeed true. But man, Rob, again, once again, and I'll make sure to post it in the YouTube description a little bit later. Like you said, in 30 minutes I'm on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. But Rob, once again, what is your Twitter handle? How can folks find you?
I think it's like at Rob Heatherly 1. Just you can do a Twitter search of Rob Heatherly, Wikipedia, and bang, you'll find my account.
Okay, great. And folks, again, I would encourage you to go to Rob's page. Look at the documents themselves. I had so much stuff. I just had to kind of just blaze through it. But take the time to look at it, and reach out to Rob if you need any guidance. Excuse me, as far as how to use some of these Wikipedia tools to empower you, the people that care about this stuff. Empower you to go and investigate and uncover this stuff as well. Go find out how you look at archived talk pages. Look at what all Mick West archived and all these other people. Look at what they archived, and there's a story there. Go ahead, please.
I will put a list out of all the archived talk pages, which is extensive, because they're so hard to find. I can put it by name, and then all the links to every talk page. Like one of them, like I think the conspiracy theory or the UFO videos, there's 19 archived talk pages on that alone. Unbelievable. I have archived all these links, and I'll put them in one file and post it on Twitter, where people can go through and make up their own minds what they want to pursue. But this needs brought to the light of day. Mick and them saying, that sunlight's the best, disinfectant. So, I consider myself right now a debunker of debunkers and an anti-skeptic. So, I don't like bullies, and I don't like people having their lives put at risk arbitrarily. And when they're trying to get remedy, these people are disparaging them, mocking them, and discounting them. They are risking their very lives by doing this, and they think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And if something happens to one of these people, and they don't, if somebody follows through with the death threats or something, that's on their hands.
Yeah. It absolutely, it absolutely is. I'm well aware of many of the details of these threats. They're real. People have put their lives on lives on the line to bring this out. And to this debunking crew, they think it's funny. They think it's some kind of game. And the level of just abject arrogance on these folks' part to go and do what they've done to these folks, it's behavior that frankly belongs in the gutter and has no place in a free society.
I hope this gets kicked up to a congressional inquiry. Susan and them think that this is hilarious and that they're untouchable because they've had arbitration committees at Wikipedia. They haven't faced the government yet. And freedom of speech and academic accuracy and stifling of that. It's not an encyclopedia because it changes hour to hour by laymen that can edit it at any time. You use it as a reference in a report or whatever, and then you cite that. The people that check it to go through the next day, it may be completely different. It's too dynamic. It's like an urban dictionary. It just it goes where the wind blows. Majority rule. It's mob rule. That needs to change. It needs to be taken off the top of the search index, and it needs to be declared for what it is. It's not a reliable source.
One thing I also wanted to bring up too, excuse me, in the research that I did on Susan Gerbic and the workshops she's done on the editing, one thing that they really focus on are the first two sentences of the Wikipedia article. That is how they frame the narrative. They know that is powerful, and she trains those editors to do the work they're trying to do in those first two sentences. Excuse me, sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice. Rob, thank you very much for doing all of this hard work. I can't wait to hear what your further developments and your further research turns up. It sounds to me like you're really at the tip of the iceberg of what this thing is. Rob, I really appreciate your time, your dedication, and I think all of us owe you just a huge debt of gratitude for what you've done. I think it's probably a bit of a thankless job that you've done, but I think after everyone hears this, they are very thankful for the job you've done.
I'm just glad that I've finally gotten people to help me investigate this and research it, and that have some very high level pull and skill sets of their own. So, I'm not the Lone Ranger out there anymore with this. I've finally gotten help because, this is taking a toll on my health, which isn't great anyway. And, I'm not the hero here. The people that have spent their lives in these pursuits and vocations and investigations that their lives are on the line, their livelihoods are on the line. Those are the true heroes. And I'm just trying to give back a little bit of what I can in appreciation for their efforts.
Well said, Rob. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to having you back on.
Thank you.
Folks, sorry, hitting the wrong button here. One man show. I just want you to stop and think about everything that Rob has presented. I want you to sit and imagine yourself someone curious about this topic, and you have nowhere else to turn but Wikipedia. And you go on there and you look up Lue Elizondo, you look up David Grusch, and go and look at those pages. Look at Mick West's page. Read that in its entirety. And then go and look at David Grusch's page or Lue Elizondo's page. And you will see the clear-cut manipulation of these pages by this group. It's wrong. It's un-American. It's not what anybody should be doing. And the question is, what can you do? And here's what I suggest. This is a perfect crowdsourcing opportunity. There are thousands of pages of conversations archived between these Wikipedia editors discussing all of this. Go reach out to Rob. Find out how you, as an activist, can go and dig up this evidence, expose these folks for what they've been doing. Call your congressman, call your lawmaker, make them aware of what has gone on and the extent of this coordinated manipulation of Wikipedia to push a narrative. This deserves a congressional inquiry. It truly does. This is expansive. It goes well beyond the UFO topic. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. Reach out to your representative. Look into this stuff yourself. What you dig up, put on social media. Expose these folks. It's you have people like David Grusch, Lue Elizondo, and countless others that have jeopardized their security clearances, their reputation. They've kissed their career goodbye to get this stuff out in the open. Those are American heroes, and they do not deserve to be shat upon by a group of arrogant individuals that think they know better. A group of arrogant individuals who have no problem with removing the accolades and titles of doctors, scientists. It's wrong. Anyway, thanks for hanging out for the length of this show. I hope, please tell all your friends about it. Encourage them to watch this in its entirety. Because what was exposed tonight, it's damning, it's wrong, it's perverse, it's just frankly disgusting. And we as Americans deserve better than information that is seemingly unbiased, but at the end of the day, it's biased as hell.